Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the classic world of darkness. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. We talked at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect. We're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same. So listener discretion is advised. Now, let's walk the Path of Night.
And now, part 2 of the Path of Night season finale, House of Wolves.
Britta, as you draw close, you can now start seeing every now and again hooded figures, leather jackets, kind of creeping around the side of the road every now and again, kind of keeping an eye on things. But soon enough, you arrive to the Rose Cliff Mansion. And there, the gates are open for you, and the limousine pulls in. And there is a servant waiting to assist you out of the limousine. And as you and Roman Pendragon step out, you are confronted with a gorgeous collection of kindred who are dressed exquisitely. And while in the presence of the kindred elite, I need you to make a self-control roll.
Debating that willpower. Yeah, it's the entrance to an important party. I'm spending that willpower.
It's good to save it for later, but it doesn't matter if you don't get past the beginning.
Yeah.
Your difficulty is 9.
That's about right. 1 success because of the willpower.
Nicely done.
Okay, you succeed.
Britta steps out with the assistance of the servant into the moonlight, and as her eyes fall on all the various kinds of impossible beauty that kindred society is capable of, it sweeps over her, but she remains in control of the appreciation. She still can't help but to admire it, but she keeps her faculties. Does it look like there's a particular gathering point? Like, does it look as if you might go somewhere to request hospitality, or does this not seem to be this kind of party?
You're not terribly sure. However, Roman walks with you and seems to know how to navigate this gathering. And as you approach the main foyer, there is a pair of shaggy-looking men dressed in red coats who actually bow to you and Roman. And when you enter, you can hear the soft sounds of violins playing. And at the top of the stairs, there is a Nosferatu who is not concealing his visage behind a mask of obfuscate. And he is this tall, lanky figure with thin lips and pointed ears, a bald head, and the eerie pointed teeth of the classic Nosferatu. And he is dressed like, I wouldn't say fashionable. He is dressed in the way that Puritans dressed when they arrived to the New World. He has a very old, distinguished British vibe to him, and you very quickly get the feeling that he is the master of the house, and you can feel the power of his beast weighing on you the moment you cross into his threshold. He gives a nod to Roman. Roman gives a nod to his ally. And you continue on. This time, headed to the ballroom, where there are kindred who are dancing. Many are gathered and socializing, sometimes laughing uproariously. Among them, there is what appears to be the only man who is not dressed for the occasion. He is in tight black pants, a black turtleneck. His hair is black and done in this complete mess. He has kind of crusty, worn black eyeliner on, and the ladies in attendance flock to him to hear about his position on various forms of poetry and history and art. On the other side, you recognize a certain Malkavian prince who rules over Boston, and he is telling jokes, and only a gathering of 6 kindred who are around him seem to laugh at these jokes. Everyone else seems to make an effort to steer clear of Quentin King.
Are these kindred around him dressed in a particular identifiable way?
They are dressed all the same, and they look like they are kind of going for this like weird 60s Beatles vibe, and have pins on their like lapels that seem to indicate some knightly order.
Since the exit from the limousine and the walk through past the master of the house, Britta hasn't, with what she just experienced in the limousine, she doesn't really, in her heart, she doesn't want to be walking this close to Roman Pendragon, but with the overwhelming glamour and intimidation of this prestigious and mysterious crowd, she does find her steps closer than she might otherwise intend. And she falls in line as he leads, offering likely, if it would have seemed appropriate at the time of passing by, like a dip of the head or a curtsy to what seemed to be Warwick. And as we get through to the crowd, she's looking at the different faces, trying to take in the different dynamics.
As you pass by the poet, you hear this like kind of gruff sound that comes from Roman Pendragon.
A flicker of curiosity, and I sneak a look over to see his expression.
William Biltmore. And as he says that, William looks to you and gives a very half-suggestive smile, sort of quietly and gesturing for you to join them. And it's then you kind of feel this like tenseness come from Roman, and the subtle pull that he makes kind of steering you away from William Biltmore.
Is it a literal pull? Like, does he
have... It's
have...
a literal pull.
What's the body positioning? And because it's important for the reaction.
Like, as you are having this silent communication with William Biltmore, you feel your arm become entangled with his as the two of you kind of walk on together, and he just sort of directs you away.
A friendly face is a bit of a comfort in this sort of scenario, and I feel that when it was at first just the beginnings of a smile that started to form, she might have started to smile a bit back, but once the suggestiveness came through, that would have been a bit of a pause point, especially if that probably coincided with the tension, I'm guessing.
It did.
And that being the case of my arm being placed within Roman Pendragon's and the steering starting up then, I think Britta curls her arm in, accepting being steered and turning her attention in the opposite direction.
Mr. Biltmore rather enjoys the company of your clan. He lures them, keeps them as pets.
Pets? How so?
Well, certainly not like this. This is business. What he does is something else.
Britta has a flicker of confusion as Roman Pendragon clarifies. She is lucky to have already been directing her attention in the opposite direction, as I imagine otherwise her expression might have indicated that confusion further. As it is, she does sort of glance back to catch his body language from the way that he's walking.
In terms of body language, he has a total poker face. Mm-hmm. He walks with you. It is clear that you're the subject of his attention. Mm-hmm. But the designs he has upon you are not revealed in any way that those watching can ascertain. And as you sort of look at him, past him, you can see this like cold, calculating look coming from William Biltmore towards the two of you.
Britta continues acting as if her line of sight is meant to be on Roman Pendragon, but I am now using that to try and keep an eye on exactly if I can like spot like little flickers of body language from Biltmore. She isn't quite sure how to respond to that last comment, and it's visually obvious that she kind of, especially because she's using it to try to get that perspective on Biltmore. I think her eyes probably flicker to Roman Pendragon's features to sort of get a reaction, and as that doesn't quite work, she pulls together just a nod of agreement, and it sounds like you two have history.
He says nothing, And as he goes to continue sort of steering you away towards an empty hall that is nearby, there's this feminine hand that kind of presses against his chest and stops him from like an angle that you couldn't quite see. And as the two of you look to see who this person is, you immediately recognize Elsa Linden, whose strawberry blonde hair is like all kinds of teased up with just this incredible amount of perfectly executed hairspray usage. And she's got heavy but like very attractive eye makeup on. And much like how William Biltmore chose to dress in a fashion that really kind of doesn't quite fit the vibe of this very kind of Victorian goth party. Elsa stands out like a sore thumb, but is glorious to behold in her absurdly short black skirt, her combat boots, the black sports bra that she is wearing as a top, and the leather jacket, like the worn, well-used Bruja leather jacket that she wears, and on her like patch, she has like a patch on her shoulder that just reads Regicide. And she gives Roman this like very confident smile and says to him like, "Oh, you look absolutely dashing, but you hear something different." And through this conversation, as she begins to shower compliments onto Pendragon, you hear her say to you, "This place is dangerous, but you have to get out of here as quickly as you can. What is your plan?"
When Britta first sees Elsa Linden looking like this, I think there's already just like a rush of genuine warmth at the relief of seeing a friendly face in the smile that Britta offers her on purpose of a greeting, but it's so sincere because thank God. But that like warmth is kind of mixed with the wonder. Nothing she's worn looks like this.
No. No, you are shocked that she knows that what a leather jacket is.
She's got very like mid-'80s Madonna vibes right now.
Yes.
So I think like there's that like wonder that kind of takes over for a moment because what? She looks like the hottest Bruja I've ever seen. But as she warns me that this place is dangerous and asks me about my plan, I haven't used double talk before. Would one of her compliments be something along the lines of how are these like about the suit? Are these about the eyes? Like, is it just a shower of compliments?
So she is basically kind of like, "Hey, we never met up after that party this time." And like, she's basically giving like this huge implication that she wants to hook up with Roman Pendragon. And that maybe tonight could be, a lucky night for him. But she's subtle about it. She's not like throwing herself.
You can
She's
always
not winning
turn it
it.
into complimenting.
Yeah.
To compliment her.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Elsa's carrying on small talk.
That was actually my plan was to. So my intention is to give her a compliment that leads into me saying that I could give them a minute. But for the actual message to be, "If I don't play along, he'll hurt my coterie."
She turns, looks at you, is like, "By the way, and you look absolutely lovely." And she leans in and kisses you on the cheek. And when she is saying that, she says to you, "Where is your coterie now? Can they get here?"
It means a lot to me that you'd say I look beautiful, so on and so forth. And the actual message is, I'm not sure where they are. I haven't been able to contact them.
I'm going to come on strong, and I want you to just walk away. I'll keep him here. But you have to just, and before she can finish conveying her message to you, a very tall Warwick is standing by the trio, and he looks to Pendragon and says, "Is this the girl?" And Roman nods, and he says, "Very good. Young lady, you will come with me at once."
Britta dips her head in respect and moves to untangle her arm from Roman Pendragon.
Roman kind of moves like he is intending on coming with you.
Mm-hmm.
And Warwick gives the two elders a look that causes the both of them to take a step back. And Warwick ushers you along, and you can kind of see this anger in Roman's eyes when Warwick pulls you away. On Elsa's features, there is panic.
While Miles is coming down from his frenzy, Johnny will find a quiet anteroom. Is calling from the prince's number is a good idea.
It's quite the flex.
That is fair. So Johnny will find a quiet office space in the prince's haven, his mansion. And he will dig out one of his little contact books that he keeps tucked away in an inner pocket of his leather jacket, find Amaya's number, and dial it into a nice, reasonable rotary phone.
When there is an answer, you can hear the distant sounds of like a local kind of gothy new metal styled band playing in the background. And you hear this very low feminine voice. Why are you calling?
Amaya, it's Johnny Saxon.
Well, this became interesting. Johnny, why are you calling? And if you don't mind my asking, why do you have the prince's phone number?
That's not anything to be concerned about with at the moment. How are things in your domain?
Legally speaking, I don't have one, but the territory we run have been facing some trouble. I understand you and yours have been tasked with taking me out.
Well, I think that ordeal is going to be resolved without any bloodshed. Well, any more bloodshed. Are you safe at the moment?
I don't know that I can really say that I'm ever safe. Johnny, Xanax live on the edge, both the pan and the fire.
He cracks a smile. You're not currently being hunted.
I've certainly got enough time for a phone call, but we're going to want to confirm about the whether or not I'm being hunted. If not, the Camarilla, the Setites are still after me.
But they're not knocking at your door right now, right?
I don't think that'd be wise.
Good. And you still have enough flex to make sure that if they did, there'd be a fight, right?
Me? No. I can't take the Setites. But you can almost, feel her looking over at someone. But I think Weathers can take him.
Weathers with you?
Yep.
How's the old man doing?
I think he's feeling young again.
That's good to hear. Well, you still have friends in Clan Bruja in New Haven. I want you to understand that. And there's going to need to be some discussions had amongst our clan very soon. I was hoping to call together a rave, and normally I would ask Jane's help with that. But unfortunately, she is currently MIA. I was hoping that if I put out the call, you might be willing to use some of your influence to get the clan to take it seriously. Maybe even assist me with getting together some of the entertainment for the evening.
Johnny, I can help with that, no problem. You know, Johnny, I don't know if it's ever been said to you, but I think it needs to be. It is a fucking shame that the rest of the Bruja in New Haven aren't more like you.
Thanks, Amaya. That means a lot.
Good. Take it to heart, because I mean it.
The call for the rave will be out soon.
I'll have everything ready by then.
Take care of yourself. Tell Weathers I'm glad he's still in the area.
I will.
Johnny hangs up. After Johnny's phone call in the office, he returns to the room, the chamber where Upton Rollins normally sleeps. Listening to the door, is the frenzy still continuing?
It seems that things have winded down to a point where Miles has become cognizant.
Johnny, at that point, will open the door, enter, and survey the damage.
Where's Chaps?
We sent him out and gave him food.
Yep. He's been well fed the last day.
So he's probably in a foyer or some kind of ante-room, just kind of like lounging on a chaise that is now covered in freaking...
It's definitely covered in Fisher Cat musk.
Yeah.
That is his chair.
And blood from whatever he was eating.
He's vacuumed up those scrambled eggs that were on the floor.
So what kind of damage am I looking at in the room? And what state is Miles in?
As you survey the room, it becomes clear that a great deal of the pent-up frustration and rage that Miles has felt ever since he was inspired to seize Praxis was unleashed on the room. The mirror is smashed. His fists have, rended furniture. The blankets are all over the place. What was a very well cared for room with very expensive possessions has been ruined utterly. And in the middle of it, sort of down on his knees, too exhausted from it to stand at the moment, is Miles, and scattered ashes all about him.
Johnny kind of takes a few strides through the carnage. All of the possessions in here are pretty much destroyed.
Yes, I mean, there are things that he'll be able to, put back together, or at least reorganize, but the room itself is ruined.
He walks over and kind of scoops an arm under Miles' shoulder and kind of hauls him up.
Miles is not wearing his glasses and kind of finally looks over and takes an involuntary breath. It's done.
You okay?
It's vile. And also...
Rollins was old.
Euphoric. It's hard to describe.
Johnny gives you a piercing stare. Locking eyes. Rollins was real old. Sometimes weird things happen with that.
I'll keep an eye on it, but I did have some practice with a demon for the last 30 days or so.
I don't know if that makes me feel any better about that.
Well, it is what it is. At this point.
Do you need anything? I imagine that your beast probably is sated.
It's quiet, but things need to happen. We need to capitalize on this.
Johnny looks down around to see if he can spot Miles's glasses.
You find his glasses.
Are they spared the carnage?
They are. Bit of ash, but that's it.
He bends down, picks them up, wipes them off on his flannel, and passes them over to Miles.
Oh, those survived.
Looks like your luck's holding out.
He places them on, takes them off, cleans them, puts them back on.
Johnny steps away while he's making sure his glasses are up to his standard, and takes a few paces over to the wall safe. Channeling his potence and a little bit of his own blood, Johnny's going to try and rip the wall safe off its mount. The door of the wall safe.
Give me a strength athletics. Your difficulty for this roll is 7.
Can I spend blood to make the potence just auto successes or no?
Yes, you can.
Okay. We're looking at 11 successes.
Okay. Oh. You yank the safe out of the slot that it was built into, and with a loud thunk, it hits the floor.
So I was trying to just rip the door off. Does the whole thing comes out?
The whole thing comes out. The door itself is kind of cracked in a jar.
Johnny will push open the door and take a look inside the safe.
Opening the door, you find what looks to be predominantly records, notes, various reports from past sheriffs. A lot of the secrets of New Haven are laid bare. Where the lupines are found, all of it.
After a cursory glance, Johnny scoops up all of the intel, will walk over, offer it to Miles. Your grace?
Oof. Miles takes the papers, briefly flips through them. This is some stuff.
I think it'd be better if we left with that. We don't want any chance of that falling into anybody else's hands.
That's fair. I don't think anybody will be coming here
You never know. The vultures can often move faster than you think.
He looks around for something to, like, place them in, like, a bag or something like that. It's a briefcase or something.
I don't think
You'll have to search outside the room.
Yeah.
I'll find you something for that. Johnny heads out and goes to grab something. He had a chance to kind of like survey the rest of the area, so he probably can find something pretty quickly.
Yep. It's like 4 briefcases worth of stuff.
He dusts himself off. He picks up the bag after they've deposited the papers in the briefcases. We have to get back. We need to make sure his ghouls don't flee or do anything extreme.
You never know how ghouls are going to react in a situation like this.
Right.
You let me know who I can wrangle up and pick up, and I'll get on it.
Well, they should all be in my former haven, so we should go back there, and we should get ready, because I'm going to start calling court together.
Do it soon as you can. I'm sure that nobody yet knows what happens here, but I would be surprised as hell if the Webb didn't already know something was up.
We got to get moving.
Johnny nods, and we'll head out with a few of the briefcases we've collected and make his moves out to the Suburban we took here?
Yeah.
To the Suburban that we took.
As you guys are doing all that, can I get an investigation roll from both of you?
Of course. No. Perception investigation?
Yes, please. Difficulty of this roll is 7.
I will spend a willpower on it. And I'm curious if the fact that Johnny is a bully boy, if there is any kind of overlap between that position and this particular kind of investigation you're looking for.
Yep, I'm going to give you a 2-die bonus.
Beautiful.
Great. If I have no investigation, I should not roll.
Correct.
All right. I'll put these dice back in.
We're looking at 3 successes.
Okay. With 3 successes, you find a file named Brittany.
So as he's loading the papers into the briefcases, he stops and kind of just blinks a few times looking at the Brittany file. And we'll flip open the cover and take a look at what he's found.
Inside, you find images of Britta out and about with the coterie, hunting, her in her haven. All these like kind of old-fashioned photos taken of her. And in it kind of talks about the various reasons that she is suspected of being in connection with the Webb. You see signs of her involvement with Operation Longbow. Some of it seems like a bit of a stretch, and while they don't seem to be aware of certain truths that the coterie has discovered about her, they do know for sure that something is up. And in it, Upton Rollins is advised to lock her down with a blood bond in order to protect the interests of his court.
Who's the one that's advised him to do this?
The author of the reports that have been submitted. It is advised by Fester, who has the coterie's electronics on tap at Upton Rollins' request.
The oldest picture in here of Britta. When is that?
The oldest picture that it shows of Britta is the group of you piling into a vehicle, getting ready to head for Hell House.
Okay. Johnny closes the folder and hands it to Miles as he packs up the rest of the info. Looks like I was right about the Webb. They definitely probably know something's up already. Looks like they've been keeping closer tabs on us than we think.
Miles will flip through the folder. Well, this explains a few things. I guess we'll need to have words with Fester.
Gonna give him the courtesy of words, huh?
He seems to be trying to protect the domain. I have an appreciation for that.
Yeah, that's why you're Prince, not me.
Let's go. Good find.
Now that everything's packed up, we'll head out to the Suburbans.
Call Chaps out with us.
Comes out. Just like tired and groggy from all the food.
Good job, little dude.
Does he bring like a cushion from the chair with him?
Yeah, the one he's been doing awful things to.
It's his girlfriend now.
Anyways. Get us out of here. We got chaps. Everything's secured.
It's weird hearing you make wind noises.
It was very handy.
Uh-huh. Call it what you like.
I'm sorry, what?
What are you calling, Wynn?
After everything that Wynn has kind of been putting herself through, she decides to make a phone call to Kabir. So she waffles for a minute. She kind of walks. She goes to the roof of Britta's establishment because she's not going back to the mushroom house. Not yet. She's got stuff there, but she's not going back there yet. So she walks to the roof of Britta's haven and sits on the fire escape and just kind of sits and stretches her legs out and waffles for a minute about whether she's going to text or call, but decides to do the classy thing and call.
The phone rings once, and then Kabir answers. Wynn.
Hey.
The sound of your voice. Is everything well?
Ish?
No. Wynn, why is it ish?
A lot of reasons, man. She just kind of like holds the phone away like she's not fully prepared to actually have a conversation or have someone follow up with how she's feeling. That's fucking weird. What kind of kink is he on?
The kink of love.
And eventually she like gives it a beat and kind of goes back. It's just been a lot in the past day or two. Can I come over?
Wynn. I do not for a moment believe that whatever you are facing is beyond your ability. But if I can provide you comfort and be here for you, I would gladly do it. Come on over, please.
All right, where are you these days?
He gives you the address of his Motel 6.
That one again?
No, Wynn. My dove. A different room this time.
When he said it before, when he called her his dove, she was just kind of like eye rolling. But now at this point, she's just kind of like, okay, this is not the least objectionable thing he could do. Okay. Guess I'll be there soon.
I can hardly wait.
Yeah, I've met you, I know.
He disconnects.
And time permitting, Wynn heads over to Kabir's.
Neil, you, Fester, and the UPS truck ride along the coast until you arrive to the Rosecliff mansion. And there, armed guards approach. The UPS truck is searched, and it is brought around back, where you are allowed to park. Fester gives you a look. Hey man, be cool. We're gonna have a great time.
I'm cool. Yeah, I'm cool. It's fine.
All right. And he hops out of the UPS truck, gives a dramatic bow to you, and holds his hand out so he can help you off the truck.
Neil reaches out, accepts his hand, and takes a step down from the truck. Okay. I'm your guest. Do we have to be presented before the prince, or is hospitality taken care of because of the party?
The hospitality has been handled. This court's actually under the control of my clan, so I'm kind of a somebody around here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So all you need to do is relax, have a good time, be cool.
I can be cool.
And with that, he leads you down to the dungeon, and as you
Took me a minute.
head down to this space where there are literal cells and people are being held in them, he approaches the young woman. All of them have these collars around their necks. On the wall over there is the chains. Can you grab it real quick for me, buddy?
Yeah, sure. How many do you, just one or what? What's
I figure I'll wrestle one down. We'll bring them out, and basically we serve refreshments for the elders to enjoy, and so long as they're happy, we can kind of do whatever we want. We can enjoy the music. We can hang out underneath the stars. I know you love that shit, and have a good time.
Yeah, Neil. Now that he's here, anybody who was prying into Neil's head would just see his mind racing. But externally, he just goes over and picks a chain up off the wall and brings it back over to Fester.
Grab a walkie, too. You don't really see.
What are you talking? What?
I get it. Don't worry.
Okay.
He kind of wanders off, and you're just standing there holding a chain. And after a few moments, he returns, and he has a walkie-talkie, approaches you, and he's like, hey, you hold on to this, okay? There's basically guys running a perimeter, watching the whole place in the event of danger.
Okay.
Listen to it. Let me know if there's any trouble.
Okay.
If there's trouble, worry about it then. In the meantime, you give me the chain.
Neil just immediately pushes it over.
All right. And we're just going to walk around to serve refreshments.
Yeah, okay. Yep. All right. And not really knowing what to do with the walkie-talkie, Neil turns the volume down low-ish. He's got good hearing. He'll keep an ear out for fuckery. Thank you, Fester, for handing me an information module. But he'll try and like clip it on his belt, like kind of like out of the way. Just not really sure what to do with it. And sort of clips it down and goes, okay. Actually, is this one of the ones that has like the earpiece that...
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Neil will clip it inside of his jacket and then run the earpiece up and put the earpiece in his left ear. And then turn and look at Fester and give him finger guns. All right, man. Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
He clicks the chain onto this hapless mortal and gives you finger guns in return. And then with like a harsh tug, he starts dragging the girl out, who tries to hold on to the bars so that she isn't forced out of the confinements that she's in. But he just overpowers her, and the three of you start heading upstairs.
Neil is trying very hard to keep his expression calm.
Don't worry, Neil. I'm going to take care of this. He like grabs her, and you see kind of the light go out of her eyes in terms of her willingness to resist.
Mm-hmm.
And once she's complacent, he starts walking her up the steps.
Under his breath, Neil just goes, it's not really what I was talking about. Even in his low humanity, even in his newfound lack of care. I mean, Neil's the kind of guy who gets too anxious to feed off people who aren't asleep. So, like, clasping people in irons and parading them around is unnerving for him. But he is doing his best to follow along and just maintain that facade. And under his breath is just still giving that mantra of the coteries' names and who he thinks he's supposed to be like right now. Back straight, he follows Fester up into the party.
As you head into the party, you see a group of Nosferatu creeping around the gathering and sort of just taking in this weird glee that they seem to find in them being able to watch all these conversations while they themselves remain unseen.
Neil has been around the Nosferatu long enough and has been someone like that himself to know that, like, it's rude and unexpected to be pointed out that you're not as obfuscated as you think you are. It doesn't want to, 100% give that kind of stuff away. However, does anybody like look at him specifically, or is he managing just to be sort of like not obfuscated in the discipline sense, but like obscuring himself of just like, I'm nondescript and just kind of hanging out?
Yeah, people seem to kind of overlook you, but not in a condescending, dismissive sort of way. Just you fit in.
Great. So he'll just not point out the mass presence of Nosferatu creeping around listening to people. And while he's following Fester and like kind of keeping up chatter, or we'll try and actually be helpful in that sommelier sort of way of like, oh, the person might, this just sort of pointing around at any moment that Fester looks like he's not sure where maybe he should go. But while he's doing so, his eyes are just sweeping the crowd as best he can for Britta or for Roman Pendragon.
As you sweep through the area, one, you notice that a number of the Toreador from the New Haven domain are present. Like,
oh no,
like 2 or 3, but not zero, which is really kind of what you came here expecting.
Yeah.
And they seem to be playing lookout. in a very subtle fashion for Elsa Linden, who seems to be having a very serious conversation with Roman Pendragon. But there's no sign of Britta.
That gives Neil pause. Both seeing Elsa and a small lookout retinue at all here was something he did not expect. He expected to be completely alone here, other than like Fester and hopefully Britta. Then seeing her talking to Roman Pendragon is also sort of like, what the hell's going on here? And then not seeing Britta at all. Neil doesn't actually break out into a sweat, but is just like, okay, well, what do I do here? And looks at Fester. And is like, hey, what about them? They might be hungry. Keep tensions down.
Oh, shit. You want me to just walk up to Roman Pendragon?
I thought you said your job was to...
Give me a second.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, fuck yeah, here. You hold the chain. I'm going to keep you company, okay? And just relax, okay? And whatever you do, make sure we look cool. This is someone I want to be impressive to.
If I've learned anything from Miles... And he sort of looks deliberately at Fester when he says Miles. And honestly, Johnny and Wynn, but basically every member of the coterie but me, half of looking cool is just the confidence that you're cool. That's what Miles said anyways. Miles has never said
big fucking biceps.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, that's obviously Johnny's trick, huh?
I don't know.
Bitch is fucking huge.
He's a big guy. Yeah, sure. Miles has never said that to Neil, as far as I know. But Neil is just in this, like, gotta fake it till you make it mindset and is just bullshitting. And I was like, all right, yeah. Yeah, hang out, man. Let's do this. And Neil, with the earpiece in and his tuxedo and makeup and roguelock, straightens his spine even more as much as he can. Neil, not a short guy once he actually has not terrible posture, takes the chain from Fester and just doesn't walk like directly across the dance floor like an idiot, but like makes his way over towards Roman and Elsa and the Toreador. And trying to manifest that confidence out of nowhere, confronts his worst fear, which is a high group of mean Toreador who have been mean to me. And walks over and goes, could I interest anyone in some refreshments? Totally, like just talking over whatever conversation is happening as he approaches. In that, like, the waiter who wants to refill your glass when you did not ask him to kind of way.
As you're approaching, you can hear Elsa saying to Roman, you cannot just have an outburst. If he wants to speak with her, fine. I don't think she's in any sort of danger. Whatever it is your plan is remains intact. So please, don't do it. And Roman looks at you, and I need a courage test.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no.
Can I spend willpower on this?
You may, but he just looks and...
That's enough. That's all it takes.
And already in a bad mood, you interrupt...
100%.
You interrupt Elsa trying to talk him down.
Yeah, no, it's... Oh, absolutely. I will 100% spend that willpower. Well, what's the difficulty you want on this?
Your difficulty is 8.
Then I have 2 successes.
Yeah. Him just looking at you.
I still hitch.
Makes your beast beg you to flee in a full-blown rot shrek.
I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. Would anyone care for some refreshment?
Elsa turns and looks at you. And much like Romans has a raised eyebrow at your presence, she raises an eyebrow at your presence. What are you doing?
Offering a snack.
She tries not to. but there's this panicked giggle that comes from her, just like a fucking here we are laugh. Roman does not laugh.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine he does.
He reaches out, grasps the mortal that you have held by a chain, and he bites into her. And her body makes this jolting motion as veins burst and her arteries kind of like start to give at the harshness with which he draws vitae from her. And when her eyes start to flutter, he lets her go, cleans off his lips but does not bother to lick the wound, and looks at you.
Good evening, Prince Pendragon. Miss Linden. It's a pleasure to see both of you.
Those who are here to serve as servants do not speak.
Technically, I'm a guest.
Then why are you holding the chain?
Because I'm doing a favor for a friend.
I see. And that favor is to act in the capacity of a servant.
Oh, see.
You should be quiet.
Why not?
He turns and walks away from you and Elsa. Fester kind of like, that was not exactly what I, so was that good?
I mean, you're supposed to serve, and he is an elder who was served. I see that as a success.
Why am I so afraid? You know what, can I get the chain?
Sure, man. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Elsa looks to the two of you. So, matter of interest for you. His Grace, Prince Warwick, was aware of the arrival of your companion. And what looked previously as though Roman Pendragon had an interest in Britta has evolved into Warwick knowing who she is. Is there a reason that Warwick might want to speak with her in private?
Neil sighs, looks around. I guess that depends on what kinds of questions he might want to ask her. Neil was like too shaken up just by this whole social scenario to like really fully hide that he probably can think of a couple of reasons why Warwick might want to talk about Britta, but he's absolutely not saying them out loud.
Neil.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the Camarilla?
30 years.
For 30 years, you have walked among the Camarilla. You have come to understand that privacy does not exist.
Yeah.
But elegance does.
Mm-hmm.
What needs to be said, needs to be said. So say it in a way that will help Britta and not damn her. But say it.
Honestly, I just didn't want her to be alone here, and I came to get her out, and Neil looks outside. There's like huge-ass windows in here, right?
Oh, yeah.
He looks outside, and his eyes flick towards the moon, and then back to Elsa, and he goes, I spent a lot of time looking at the stars, and you're right, there are no secrets. Everything can be found if you know how to ask the right questions, and sometimes people wonder where we came from. I had a conversation once where someone told me, and Britta, more told Britta, I was listening, that sometimes you are enslaved to where you came from, and it is difficult the more you learn to cut your own path and be your own person. And I think she's done a damn good job in the last few tumultuous months of being a member of the Camarilla, being her own person. But that doesn't mean people don't want to ask about what it is they think she might know. And his eyes drop from the moon down to the dark water.
When we return to New Haven, I would like to speak with you and see to it that you are publicly rewarded for the aid that you gave me some months ago. I have not forgotten.
You and I haven't really had a chance to talk recently. I feel like I need you to know that I didn't do that looking for boons or public acknowledgement. Maybe naively, maybe idiotically. I did it because we said we would. And when I set my mind to keeping my word, I do. I didn't do it for reward. I did it because that's who I am. And I am much more interested in honest friendship than I am in that sort of thing. Maybe I'm an idiot, but that's me.
I need you to make me a promise then.
If I can.
Get Britta home.
I'm gonna try.
Not yet. Get Britta home when she's finished with what she needs to do.
What does she need to do?
I don't know.
Is that what you and Roman were talking about? What she needs to do for Roman? Prince Pendragon? He looks around like, oh my god, did somebody hear me say just Roman?
I don't know what it is that Britta needs to do. But I'm here because I saw her here.
Okay. Okay. If I could see her, I could figure it out. I could... Where is she?
Oh, so what is that smell?
It's, It's, wolf panther. Fester likes it. He wanted us to have matching scents, so I didn't want to sneak in, so I'm his...
I need to go. Excuse me.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
She just walks away.
That little smell comment, like, breaks Neil's nerve. It's like the final little straw that just is like, okay, this is too much. I don't... Shit. And Fester, like, went back downstairs, right? He, like, took the... So Neil's just alone at this party now. He has no idea what to do from this point. And just looks out the window up to the stars and just... He's not casting a spell or anything. He just goes like, please, please, please give me some sort of sign. I got this far and I don't know what to do. And he looks back down. Warwick has Britta, not knowing where that is in this mansion right now, or the fact that if he just bursts in, we'll be fucking dead, probably. And the fact that Elsa was like, let her do what she needs to do and then get her the hell out of here. Neil does the unthinkable and, for the time being, goes to mingle.
When you look out over the water, you see like a half dozen speedboats out on the water, just kind of floating there.
At night?
At night. And that's kind of when you hear like a little gasp as Fester's like, oh no. And the mortal that he kept on a chain has fainted from apparent blood loss. And he's like, sorry about that, guys. This kind of stuff happens. Juice bags, all that. And he just kind of bends down to pick her up and smudges a bit of blood on his, like, shirt and gets this look of panic, like, friend, help. I look like an idiot.
Neil floats over, trying his best to help his friend, right? And just... Hey, man, it's an opportunity to show him. Just pick her up, okay? Just pick her up. And he takes a thumb, because Roman did not lick the wound, right? Like, there's still blood all over. Was Fester wearing a white shirt?
He was.
And Neil takes his thumb, and in a move very similar to how he's moved in private before as a blood sorcerer, rubs his thumb along the blood on the woman's neck, and then traces a bloody thumbprint on the white flower on the boutonniere that he got for him, and just looks at him and goes, now you match.
His eyes. You're the shit, Neil.
And he claps him on the back, and just like, just take her downstairs. Bring somebody else. You got this. Just show off how strong you are.
The little man gives a nod and just casually lifts this mortal.
Yeah.
And wanders off with her.
Was that like, I don't know why I'm picturing that like fully in the middle of the dance floor like an idiot, but like,
yeah.
So that leaves Neil just standing in the middle of the dance floor.
Yeah.
Who is around?
You recognize the infamous Malkavian William Biltmore, who is sort of just standing and people watching, and is loved for it.
Yes.
For some reason, his odd behavior is taken as absurd charisma. Beyond that, you catch Roman heading up the stairs off to wherever it is that Warwick has taken Britta.
No, she's got to do what she's got to do. Neil takes a little cloth out of his pocket, like his little red silk pocket square, leans down, wipes the little bit of blood that probably fell onto the floor up, tucks it back into his pocket, and then just walks off the dance floor with sort of hey, go ahead and continue, everyone, kind of motion, and then just starts following Roman.
As you get up to the stairs, there are guards that kind of bar passage, but the door is in sight, and you can kind of faintly hear the sounds of conversation. And Roman opens the door, slips in, and closes it behind him.
With Neil's senses, can I make out what that conversation is?
You may listen.
I will listen.
Okay.
And just kind of linger. I guess we're in the front hall, right? Mm-hmm. He will just sort of linger in the front hall. There's a big fountain or something in here. Some sort of thing to look at.
Yes.
And he will just stand there, fully checked out, and listen to whatever's going on behind that door.
Brett is escorted to her room. It is a lavish meeting space that has been carefully arranged, and Warwick, who enters along with Britta, is not alone in the room. And at this table, seated, is a pair of individuals. One of them is a young man with blonde hair and these kind of light hazel eyes. And he is rather well dressed, but is dressed like in a thief chic sort of fashion, not really dressed for a party. And beside him, also not dressed for a party, is a cowled figure who seems to have no hair. And when he sees you, he smiles wide, revealing serrated fangs from ear to ear.
That stops Britta pretty well in her tracks, and her eyes go a bit wide, looking from the man with the wide teeth. Does he look like her memories, or does he just...
He looks exactly like your memories.
Then her steps halt completely. She was intending to follow Warwick into the room. She had a whole plan of grace. But that pause is unmistakable at the smile and the reveal. She looks over the man with the blonde hair to try and determine if there's anything familiar about him, but her eyes keep flicking back to the teeth.
The man with the teeth speaks in this tongue that you know to be the language Gamalish, but do not know its exact meaning. And you find yourself walking to a seat, sitting down, scooting in, and turning to look at the two strangers.
Britta blinks as she realizes she's scooted in, that she has moved entirely without realizing.
Recognition, Warwick comments, looking at you.
Britta glances back to Warwick, but frankly, as scary as Warwick is, her fear has gone primarily towards the man with the many teeth, and she waits to be spoken to before commenting herself.
Warwick speaks. Your companions have joined me here this evening to discuss the matter of Hell House. As I understand it, you and your coterie are the only individuals who have traveled to this place, fought the thing that resides there, and survived to speak of it. Is this correct?
We've been inside, Your Grace, and we fought a revenant who was taking care of the thing inside, but we haven't been that deep in.
Mr. Xantosa,
Yes.
an associate of my child, a source of information regarding the house. Since the intervention of your coterie, I have lost a bit of track regarding its development. Tell me what you found there.
Britta keeps her eyes downcast at the mention of the death of Shaw. Inside there were many strange creatures that were feeding. It seemed that Mr. Xantosa had been bringing them a constant supply. And he had said that he was feeding what was in the house as well. He had documents that probably were for you. We haven't been back since. Not more than just passingly.
And you have not maintained any ongoing investigation into the thing that you found there? The sentience. What of it? Its consciousness. What can you tell me of the thing that is there?
It seems to be a piece of a bigger whole.
Tell me of its connection to New York.
In the research that my coterie did, it seemed that that piece is a part of something buried beneath New York, and that thing affects the other planes.
I wish to understand. You visited Hell House. You fought the thing that resides there. You did all of these things, including attaining the fragments of the Book of Nod that Mr. Xantosa maintained there. And with all of this knowledge, this access to this mystery, your coterie did what with it?
We'd been hoping to find a way to fight Hell House. Whatever's in there, we weren't able to take. What we fought in there was the ghoul, Xantosa. We didn't see really what was inside.
As I understand it, the ghoul Xantosa was embraced, made into a Bruja intended to be gifted to Mr. Pendragon's army. What then? We never received the Xantosa.
Mr. Xantosa is currently in the possession of Mr. Reese.
Mr. Reese.
Of the Tremere.
Intriguing. Take off your gloves.
Britta doesn't mean to pause, as long as she does, and even as she starts to follow the command, she starts with the right hand.
And the door opens.
She pauses. The opera-length glove has made it down to the wrist of her right hand, but her hand freezes atop her wrist to look to the door.
Seeing what you're doing, Roman looks at you and raises an eyebrow. The gloves stay on. He turns his attention to Warwick. The Storyteller arrived with me. She will remain with me, and it is only out of respect for your domain that I did not react harshly to her attempt to take her.
Britta rolls her sleeve back up slowly, as if the motion itself could add fire to the situation, keeping her eyes downcast from both Pendragon and from Warwick, looking very much like she wants to slip away.
Warwick shifts in his seat and regards Roman Pendragon for a long time before speaking. Mr. Pendragon, you are a valued ally and fellow companion of Operation Longbow. However, are you aware of the importance of this girl and her association with mysteries dating back to the very beginning of kindred existence? Roman shakes his head. No, and I do not care. All that matters for the time being is that you have impugned on what is mine.
Britta is staying completely still. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that her attention is so closely on this conversation, but it's like if she can just stay still enough that she might be immune from it. Like she'll just become a part of the air and not have to be present. But she's doing her best to keep her expression blank, subservient, despite that.
There is a look of amusement on the blonde man that is watching the conversation go. Well, it seems that this meeting has become complicated, and I think they're fighting over you, he says, kind of looking at you. When he speaks, by the way, you can hear by the others present him saying, "Oh, we do not wish to cause any trouble. We are simply here to speak and mean no offense."
Britta's eyes widen before she can catch it. It breaks through the mask that she'd been putting up, but thankfully her eyes are still mostly directed towards the floor. The blonde man will absolutely be able to catch that. Possibly his many-toothed companion, but...
Good for you.
That's a full... With the phrase, "good for you," that jolts Britta's head up, and she makes full eye contact with this man trying to figure out who he is. She knows the phrase. She's heard it before. She's heard it in a nightclub when she was confused and blank, and that echo is not welcome.
It is clear that Warwick is watching you, seeming to have noticed what is registering on your mind. Roman approaches and offers you his hand.
Britta takes it definitively.
I'm sure they will apologize, but perhaps you can use some fresh air.
Thank you, Your Grace.
And with just incredibly disrespectful body language towards these two strangers, he ignores them completely and gives a respectful nod to his ally Warwick, who nods in return, accepting Roman's outburst.
Britta will duck her head in respect at the prompt, although her body language is shutting away the two. That, as far as she can, it's directed towards Warwick.
And he leads you out of the room. As the two of you descend down the stairs, you see Neil.
As Britta's eyes land on Neil, there's that soft, soundless exhale of almost frustration. Just everything that's coming together in this scenario is beginning to be so much. But there's a flash, too, of just being touched that he's there. And she pulls it back as quickly as she can to not look at him in that way of, if she diverts her attention elsewhere, then maybe he won't feel that her eyes landed on him, and maybe he won't notice that she's there. So just probably uselessly trying to protect him, clinging a bit more onto Roman Pendragon's hand to accept his leadership outside or wherever it would go.
And the two of you step outside. Miles, you have some announcements to make to the court at large, but I believe before that happens...
I plan on straightening myself up a little bit after the incident inside Roland's estate, and then I will give Elsa a call to let her know that the problem has been, the slight to the Toreador has been rectified.
When you place your call to Elsa Linden, you hear what sounds very much like the quality of sound of like a cassette player. And you hear Elsa's voice explaining that she is not present at the moment and asks you to please leave her a message.
Elsa, this is Miles. The things that we talked about the other day have come to pass. The issue with the Toreador has been rectified, and following up, I am calling together court. I hope to see or hear from you soon. And then I hang up.
Preparations are made, and Miles, Wynn, and Johnny head to the court to meet with the kindred of New Haven. When you arrive, there is the majority of the court. One person of interest is missing, but there are other members who almost never attend Elysium's courts who are in fact present tonight. Elsa is nowhere to be found, but as you arrive, the Toreador of court greet you pleasantly. There are women who kind of like tuck their hands under your arms, and the clan seems to stick pretty close to you. In addition to this, Reese and 7 of his Tremere are present.
That's a lot of his Tremere present here.
Coincidence?
Sounds like some left-hand bullshit if I've ever heard it.
Great. Well, nice smiles and laughs with the Toreador as we proceed to get court organized, keeping an eye out on the Tremere.
Who's present from Clan Nosferatu?
Only Renwick. But he's usually, when the Nosferatu are at court, it's only one or two of them. The rest seem to generally prefer to hang out underground.
Who's present from Clan Malkavian?
Of the Malkavians, only the Keeper of Elysium is present. Dashwood is present. The actual Primogen, she is not.
My interactions with Dashwood previously have been generally neutral.
Positive, yeah. He seems kind of indifferent about most local politics, but does his job.
Competent, got it.
What kind of spread of the other bully boys are present?
The bully boys are exactly how they normally are. They watch the doors. They kind of hang out with each other. Some seem a little bored, but are doing their jobs. And
because I've got kind of a 50-50 relationship with the other bully boys, as far as I understand.
Yeah, they seem like they're unaware that anything's even going on, so they're just kind of hanging around.
Gotcha.
We do some small talk and glad handing for a bit, and then I will start moving towards the raised stage plateau, whatever.
Dais.
Thank you. Dais.
Is it the balcony where Arabella was?
Feels weirdly poetic.
It does.
I guess I'll make the loud march upstairs.
Johnny will follow him and position himself in a defensive spot. In case things start going wild, I'm going to be in a place to help defend Miles.
Wynn is actually weirdly appropriate for the evening. She is wearing a white button-down rolled up to the elbows. She has a vest, which clearly is not fitted to her, probably belongs to a guy. From the ostentatious nature of it, it's probably Kabir's. She has a man's dress pants on and her shit kickers, and a pair of aviator sunglasses.
Fuck yes.
And she's not strutting, but she is kind of keeping a very wary eye, especially when she notices that number of Tremere. She sticks her hands in her pockets at one point and is quietly giving the finger to everybody in her pockets. But not unlike Johnny, is just like, okay, if shit's gonna go down, it's probably gonna be tonight, so head on a swivel. She does keep a lookout to see if there are any spirits in the area that are not normally there, any wraiths that fuckers may have called in to attack from other planes. And she has a gold chain around her neck.
Looking around for any kind of unusual behavior, you do see Toreador kind of slipping in and out of conversations, spreading a rumor. And the rumor of it is, oh my god, did you hear about how their coterie murdered members of the Sabbat? Just brutally executed them? Sending the Sabbat running? Oh my.
Wynn does not flip them off.
Before
they're so aggressive. So dangerous.
Wynn grins a little bit out of one corner of her mouth.
Thank you, Toreador.
On our way up to the balcony,
Yeah, buddy.
Johnny will put a hand on Miles' shoulder and kind of catch his eye. You've got this, Your Grace. And spend a willpower to give him iron will.
You feel like a total badass. More.
I was like, I am.
I also spend blood to up all of my physicals to 6.
All right. So we continue up the stairs. We survey for solid 60 seconds before I wrap my katana on the ground to gain attention, much like Reese used to do with his sword cane. Or cane, if he wants to pretend.
Ooh. The court turns to you, and as you go to speak, the doors open, and a group starts filing in. And they are dressed in kind of very mid-90s streetwear, like bright blue jeans and sneakers. A lot of it's kind of a little worn. They have this tired look about them, like they've been journeying for a long time. And sort of at the head is this man who has a thick beard and keeps his head covered. And with a long coat on, the big thing that really stands out about this guy is that he has completely obsidian black skin. And with this weary look, like just not like trying to be menacing, but just tired.
Right.
They shift to the side and sort of wait to not be any more of an interruption to whatever the court's proceedings are. A lot of the court starts looking at them, and they're like, Assamites, what? Why are we about to be under attack? What's going on? And they look up to you.
Court of New Haven, it has come to my attention that Upton Rollins is no longer able to perform his duties as prince, due to attacks from outside the domain that has stricken him and made him unstable and weakened him, have put him in a position where he is unfit to be prince and unable to lead this domain going forward. So I am here, after our successful attack on the Sabbat and multiple defenses of this domain, to claim praxis, to be your prince of New Haven, to give you safety and security where I can in these long nights. And I hope that you will support me going forward as we deal with any threats that may come to this city.
There is a long silence, the kind that like sort of creeps into you and that you feel in your bones. And the Toreador move towards where you are, sort of between the court and you, and turn to face the court, indicating their loyalty on this matter.
That they're standing with me.
The Tremere then approach the Toreador and stand by them, turning to face the court in the same gesture. It is then that John Reese approaches, sort of ending up somewhere between the Toreador and the Tremere, bends the knee. Your Grace, congratulations on your claim of praxis. I humbly request hospitality for myself and my clanmates who are here. And then behind him, the court starts lining up, waiting for their turns to request hospitality from the new Prince of New Haven. Neil, you see Roman and Britta head down the stairs, leaving the meeting. There's something different about their body language as they pass by. Somehow, whatever interaction that existed between the two of them before has shifted and become more, perhaps, conspiratorial. It's like she was dragged to the initial meeting, but now they are leaving together. You see him lead her to the door, and he opens it for her. She steps out. He follows and closes the door behind him.
Did they step outside of the house?
Yes, they're headed outside.
Neil frowns and then hurries across the entrance hall to the door he just closed, just to like blatantly follow after them in one of those like, oh, hey, wait a minute kind of motions. But as he crosses the front, the earpiece in the walkie that Fester gave him that's supposedly hooked up to the security channel, right? We'll just click over as he's running across and go, hey, do we know whose boats are out on the water?
Not really. I can go ahead and take a look. I'm dealing with a little bit of a situation, though. Some of the outer patrols, they haven't responded in a few minutes, and we just want to make sure everything's all right.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Don't go out there. Hold a second. And Neil will, at that point, like get to the front door and open it up directly after Pendragon and Britta, and hurry out, following them basically out into the night.
Britta, it was not my expectation that you would do that.
Thank you for getting me out of there.
There was something on your mind. Who were they?
Britta looks down and fiddles. It's clear that she's weighing the choice of saying more, but she looks back up, eyes flicking to the ground, to him. I think I knew them before I lost my memory. And she looks to his face, searching his expression for where he's at emotionally.
Give me a perception plus empathy roll at difficulty 8.
Oh. Well, does my new spec apply, Lex?
Yes.
I should probably say into the mic what that spec is. Empathy villains.
Yes.
You can say it into the camera.
I almost said camera. I stopped myself.
Yeah,
Rebecca turns and looks
Rebecca's like-
directly into camera.
Rebecca's like, with the smuggest expression, I should say what the spec is. Shouldn't I? Shouldn't I? It's villains. Villains? Everyone, hold on. Let me make sure the mic is picking that up just right. Villains.
Empathy villains.
Empathy villains.
Very thin line, apparently, between embarrassed and... I'm going to start off with perception, empathy for the straight social role. 5 successes because willpower.
With 5 successes, the only thing you're not sure of is whether or not he sees you as a person. But you are certain that he disapproves of the way that you are disrespected insofar as it disrespected him. And he is reacting to the same way that someone might care for a pet when treated by poorly by like a neighbor, or if they were in brief danger. He's concerned for you, but it's not clear. He certainly isn't concerned for a peer.
And the second roll?
Yep.
For aura perception, that will be a wash.
Okay, no successes. You can't quite get a read. You start to see the colors, but it's too confusing. Mm-hmm. Do you wish to stay or leave?
I'm here to do what you've asked of me.
Because you have auspex up, give me a perception plus alertness.
Okay. Difficulty?
7 after auspex.
3 successes.
With 3 successes, it's subtle, but you smell blood on the wind. And this god-awful cologne. As you turn to find out what the source of that stench is, you see Neil approaching.
Neil walks up, and when you passed him on the stairs earlier, he was very clearly listening and intent on where's Britta, how is she okay? It's very clear that he was just listening in and sort of lingering around. As he opens the door to follow you guys out, though, very clearly ignoring the brush off that Pendragon just gave, he comes up next to you guys, but now looks distracted. He has a finger on one ear, like he's listening to an earpiece. Hey, Britta, it's just, watch my back for a second here, because, hello, Prince Pendragon. Just something might be, and he puts a hand over his eye, one of his eyes, and looks straight up at the stars. And Lex, now that I'm out under the stars here, and I know that Britta's not, disappearing on me, I want to check out what's going on with those boats, because now that Fester said people are missing, I am a little concerned.
Go for it.
I will spend a willpower on this too. 3 successes. Neil actually goes so far as to is Britta still standing arm linked with Pendragon?
I mean, frankly, if he hasn't given her any... She's incredibly shaken up. She's been trying to press it down in order to get through the situations, but they keep happening. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think, unless there's been a prompt for her to let go of him, I think she's still holding on to him tightly as a form of comfort.
Then Neil walks up directly next to Britta on the other side of Pendragon and just snakes an arm into hers like they're the fucking Wizard of Oz, and then covers his eye and looks straight up at the stars. Hey, it's really good to see you okay. Kind of ignoring Pendragon in that weird focused way that Neil gets when he's on a mission and looking for stuff, and casts his gaze towards a particular star overhead, and then with that many successes, half of his vision goes away, and he is simultaneously here, aware of his surroundings next to Britta outside, and the other half of him is gazing like a satellite from space down onto where he saw the boats before. Because I don't like that people are going missing and Fester's nervous, and they all had their eyes out on the water, especially since these people that made Britta nervous are here, and shit's going on. And I would like to see what I can see around that area.
Neil, do you smell like blood or...
What? No, I don't think so. It's Wolf Panther.
While looking through, you see the set of boats kind of drifting in the water, empty. And in the case of at least one, the floor of it is caked in blood and ash.
Britta looks incredibly uncomfortable, by the way, as Neil puts her between the two of them. She returns to the previous behavior of being still for dear life as he does this.
Pendragon kind of gives Britta a look of, what is this?
Britta gives Pendragon back a look of, I'm not entirely sure, but please give it a minute.
Pendragon steps away.
There's... Okay, well, he might actually want to hear... I don't know. I think something's going on right now. We need to get the hell out of here.
What have you found?
Oh, I don't know. But Fester said that some of the patrols have gone quiet, and there's a bunch of boats out on the water. They're empty, but one of them is just spattered with blood and ash. And if I was the Sabbat, and I knew all the members of Operation Longbow were in one house at one time...
Okay, so we need to
It's around then that this yacht comes out of Obfuscate, and you can see two individuals that are actually kind of like, they're dressed for the occasion, like as though they're attending the party. But very quickly you realize these two people are probably not invited, as one of them is this sharp looking Spanish kind of villain who has this near perfect look about him, save for that along his cheek and neck is this subtle sunburn. And he is dressed in a white tux. And next to him, actually not one of the two that really stands out, is an individual who's dressed in body armor like they're some sort of like paramilitary goon. And they're holding this like longsword, as though they're like the person who carries this conquistador sword for him. And accompanying them is this eerie androgynous form. And they have these completely alien shapes and ripples and spikes that protrude from their flesh, and have these very kind of full lips and alien eyes that look out over the water right at you as you're using your magic. And they are dressed in this long gown that flows unnaturally, as what is more like, it looks like it's this gown made from like skin and snakes and tendrils that like writhe underneath. And the two of them are just enjoying the evening. And because of your heightened senses, by the shallow of the water are many figures kind of moving through, just kind of walking to shore.
So we need to tell security about the boats then.
There's more.
All right, can you radio into the security team, and I'll tell Prince Pendragon?
Prince Pendragon just to, because they're probably here for, because there's a lot. There's a lot
Britta
coming
just
in.
starts walking
coming
away.
in now, and I put my finger up to my ear. Fester, are you there? Security?
Hey, buddy. Hey, I'm just headed over to the cars. One of the alarms went off. I'm just checking it out.
No, wait. Go back in the house. Get back in the house.
I'm by the house.
Okay. Enemies here. A lot of enemies.
Yeah, so keep a low profile. Don't piss them off.
Neil, just explain this time.
Do what Miles would do. Just look hot and be confident.
Well, I'm not have you seen the yacht that just appeared out there?
There's no yacht.
I can see a yacht. There's a yacht out there, and it has, I don't know.
Okay, hold on.
Monsters on it.
1 second. Right? He hangs up. Well, he like stops, like responding.
Yeah. It's we gotta tell more. There's gotta be a way to. Britta, can you tell? And he just sort of yells across the thing, and then looks around. Here's something I haven't done, and has not actually appeared on screen at all, really. There's a shit ton of Malkavians in the area, right? Mm-hmm. Neil will pull his phone out of his pocket and just start whispering into his phone Enemies, they're coming by sea. Enemies, they're coming by sea. Like over and over in this really weird, repetitive, pressing his face up against the phone. And I'm going to use Malkavian time to try and send a message.
Go for it.
4 successes. So it should be reasonably clear then, hopefully, locally. And just, yeah, so Britta would see Neil just pull his phone out, but instead of using it like an actual phone, just kind of like presses his face against it and starts whispering into it as he's waiting for Fester to respond.
It gets half a weird look, but Britta's out looking to pull Pendragon back into the conversation.
Neil, you can feel the strange static that kind of comes from you trying to reach into this web that doesn't quite actually exist. And you can feel this consciousness that exists between all of you and your clanmates. And the message spreads like a bit of electricity along a nerve. And eventually it hits them, and you can hear a couple panicked screams come from inside, yowling and screaming that they're coming. And some of the crowd begins to investigate and kind of, check on other Malkavian friends and see why they're behaving so strangely. You can hear the sound of what is clearly William Boltmore laughing and kind of cackling at the sudden chaos that has overtaken the party.
Neil gives a little shudder. That level of connection is uncomfortable. It's strange, but just in a panic, he didn't really know what else to do at the moment. And looks over now at this point, is afraid to radio back Fester in case he's like sneaking around. So instead, just looks over towards Britta, who hopefully has been able to get one of the elder leaders of Longbow's attention.
I think she already had started walking away after she told Neil to just tell Fester. And she was walking towards Pendragon to try to pull him into the conversation, tell him about the boats.
When you see him, he is in the midst of a conversation with his driver and is like, "Get the car now. We're leaving. Make no scene." And the driver starts heading off. He turns to look at you.
Neil says the Sabbat are here on boats.
The Sabbat are here on boats.
Yes, and more in the water, I think.
This look of frustration crosses his face. Very well. Approach His Grace, the Prince of this domain. Tell him what you have told me, and tell him that I require a sword.
Britta has clear trepidation at the idea of going to Warwick, but she nods.
When you're finished giving your message, come to me. Run.
Okay. And she turns to go seek out Warwick.
Britta.
I'll be right back.
What? Where you going? Don't leave.
I have to find the prince.
Oh. Neil just turns and hurries after Britta, gracelessly, but just don't leave me. I can't.
It's around at this point while you're running with Britta that you can see figures starting to come out of the water, and 2 faces you recognize. One of them is your former captor.
Oh, no.
And she has arrived. She carries with her her sword. And walking along with her is what has to be Johnny Sire. He kind of like is wringing out his long hair and kind of has this look of intrigue and excitement as he scans the field for any signs of elders.
Oh my god.
The only hesitation Britta has is pulling up the skirt on her dress so that she can run faster, and nodding to Neil to come with her as she seeks out where Warwick once was.
Carmen and Delgado are here. They're two. They're here too. They're over there. Get in the house. We gotta get the hell out of here.
Faster we do this, the faster I can go. Let's go.
There's a deep inner, breathe out relaxation sigh, but absolutely nothing on the surface as I start to grant hospitality to those in my domain.
As they line up, Wynn looks at every single person who is lining up, just seeing if there's any surprises.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people who are very surprised that a bunch of Sabbat got killed, the prince got killed, and here's Maz like, yo, I'm in charge. Like
is there anyone who who has been in opposition to Miles that might not come and seek hospitality from him?
That does not appear to be the case.
Okay.
Even his rivals, his most staunch public rivals, such as Reese,
Yep.
have bent the knee and requested hospitality.
I specifically run Wenwick. I assume Renwick still approaches.
Yeah.
I ask him to meet with me afterwards.
He gives a deep nod and agrees.
Johnny will actually hop up in line, and when it's his turn, he'll step up, take a knee. Your Grace, Clan Bruja is currently without a primogen. Our former primogen Weathers has been attending other duties and responsibilities within the Camarilla. In lieu of his leadership, I ask for hospitality for myself and the rest of Clan Bruja.
Miles will nod, and hospitality is granted to you and the Bruja.
Also, Your Grace, if I may be so bold, since I have your ear, allies of Clan Bruja amongst the Anarchs have been persecuted by ordeals set by the former prince. May I ask that this ordeal against Amaya of the Anarchs be suspended?
I acquiesce to your request.
Johnny bows his head. I think all of Clan Bruja thanks you for this generosity and sanity.
It is my pleasure. And taking this moment to speak of generosity, the city of New Haven has been under siege for a number of weeks now, and we will be dispersing funds from my personal accounts to see that everyone has security in their own domains. You will be provided money to get a New Haven, to upgrade yours, to do what you need to do to feel safe. And then that goes for all inhabitants of New Haven.
From the Toreador, there is uproarious applause, and the rest of the court seems to kind of fail to resist their infectious ways, and in moments the entire court is loudly applauding you.
Johnny will step to the side.
Guys, this is a super power trip.
Literally, Tim's like, guys, this feels too awesome. I need a second.
So much power.
Once Johnny is out of line, Wynn will step into line, and she will take her glasses off and bend the knee to him. I am a clan of one, Your Grace, but I ask for hospitality for my clan. And the whole time she's talking, she has her eyes crossed, just because she can't possibly take anything seriously.
My internal response is, hey there, Iceman. You're more than a clan of one. You just happen to be the only occupant currently. And I grant you and anyone you find tolerable hospitality.
Thank you, Your Grace.
From
And
the
then-
shadows, Kabir's like, yes!
She thinks I'm tolerable.
Technically in.
I am tolerable.
Could be
I
the
think-
tolerable.
And before she turns around, she puts her sunglasses back on. But
The Assamites approach. The man with the beard among them, kind of like thick eyebrows and these like old eyes that have kind of seen parts of the world that the Camarilla just doesn't tread into. And he bows. Your Grace, it is my humble request that you open your mind to the idea of accepting the Assamites into your court and acknowledging us as Camarilla citizens of your domain. And he bows again.
Your name, traveler.
I am Famir Ali, Vizier of the Assamites, and we have traveled a long way because our home is no longer safe to us. Those who have come with me, we are not assassins. We are artisans, scientists.
I nod my head gravely at him. And I'm taking a quick perusal of the general crowd's reaction.
There is an old fear of Assamites, and the court is sort of reacting the way you would sort of expect someone to react to, an infamous clan of Diablerist killers.
Wynn kind of stares at the man who is asking for hospitality and is like discreetly like cleaning her nails to hopefully assuage some of the fear that the prince is about to be attacked from the court in general.
Okay.
I look down to Famir. I offer the safety of my domain for now, so that you and me and a few others can discuss this going forward.
He bows again. You are a kind prince. Congratulations.
Thank you, Famir.
They sort of back off and retreat to like a little corner to not interact with the local court and not be seen as much of a threat as they currently are.
I guess we go through the line unless there's any specifics.
You go through the line. It is exhausting.
Lots of platitudes.
Yep. And your phone receives a message.
I'll take a small break and take a look at it.
We need to talk now. And the number is from Arabella Rowlands.
My favorite ventrilo. Like the only one left. She gets a text. Where?
Upton's office.
I'll meet you in my office.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Be there in 5. So I will finish off whatever line there is left or whatever to some platitudes and then take a moment and excuse myself to a break. And I'm like,
Yeah.
If he's looking like he needs to take a break, Wynn will kind of lean her head in and be like, do you need a minute by yourself or do you not want a minute by yourself?
I'm going to my office. I'd rather not be disturbed for a few.
Here's hoping you aren't.
What does that mean?
Immediately disturbed.
Just go to your fucking office. Why is this a thing?
What do you... all right.
She just kind of says, fuck you, and Fisher Cat.
So in open court, you just hiss at Miles and then...
That's the sound of
Good-natured,
an upset
like-
child.
All right.
I hate the fact that these two have learned how to growl speak. They're talking about me. I know it.
Just try not to start anything while I'm gone.
God, you're always reining me in. Jesus.
I know.
Send
And
me
I,
to Jesus.
March off towards my office.
In your office, the lights are on, and sitting on your desk, with legs crossed and smoking a cigar, is Ms. Rowlands.
Hello, my child.
I don't think we're there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. What should I call you nowadays?
She kind of like gives a slightly suggestive, pondering look. So all of that struggle, and you praxis him anyways?
I don't know if we ever got a chance to talk about why everything went down the way it did before.
No, we did not. She kind of turns and with like the heel of her shoe, kind of pushes the prince's seat like just away from the desk enough to suggest that you sit down and have a talk.
I shrug and move over to the chair. I was under direct orders to keep him alive. I did not know you were doing the praxis until we got here, basically.
And we couldn't come to some understanding where he would live and be praxised?
Look, Shaw was an asshole. And then there was a giant werewolf. He had Johnny's daughter. I don't know how much of this you're aware of.
I don't know. How much did you tell me?
I didn't have a lot
Miles?
of time. And I didn't know where you sat on all of that.
Forget it. What happened to my sire?
Do you want the straight truth?
Damn right.
I killed him.
She kind of gets this like really angry expression. I hate you, Miles. So much.
Sorry to hear that.
And then she straddles you. And the cigar drops to the ground. And she gives you like this kiss that is so aggressive that she smears lipstick on you. And her fingers are through your hair, kind of like pulling your head back as she just pounces you. At this point, you can see Kindred running around in all different directions. It's chaos. And a number of Warwick's thugs who act as servants in the area they themselves are working on figuring out a means of escape. As now on the beach you can hear the sounds of this horde of shovel heads and Sabat dragging Camarilla Kindred to the ground and devouring them.
Neil, text Elsa.
Neil still has his phone in his hands and will just gets frustrated and just calls Elsa as they're running.
And while she asks Neil to do that, Britta is, if any of these thugs look like they're even willing to answer a question, she asks Prince Warwick for his location.
His Grace has seen to the security of personal territory.
Where's that?
He has left, and he turns and runs.
This is a Nosferatu haven. There's got to be a whole nest of tunnels and warrens under this place.
Okay, next thing. And Britta will look around with heightened vision for the sword.
Give me a perception alertness, difficulty 8.
Yeah, willpower. 4 successes with the willpower.
You find what appears to be a pair of crossed swords over a mantle.
Britta does not wait for grace in this situation, and she... Neil?
Yeah, what?
Help me up.
Okay. And Neil, with like one hand on the phone pressed to his ear, like, come on, pick up, will sort of hunch down so that Britta can like step up on his shoulders to like reach up to these things and grab the shit.
In a surprisingly able movement, the front part of Britta's stiletto lands in your hand, and she launches herself up to grab both swords.
You come down with both swords.
She wrests them free from the wall, nods to Neil. Let's go back. You get Elsa?
It's still ringing.
Okay, let's go.
I will be scanning the crowd for both the people that I ostensibly care about, other than Britta in this crowd, like at this party.
I'm also looking for Elsa.
Okay, let's do some initiative rolls.
I am spending 1 point of celerity.
10.
17.
So at the top of the round, Britta, you're searching for a path back to Roman. However, at this point, the main doors to the estate are closed and locked. And while there's a group of, like, Warwick's goons trying to hold the door, you hear this boom, boom coming from the other side that shakes the doors and, like, the walls that the door set into. Like something really big is on the other side.
I guess that prompts the question as to where the windows are.
There are windows all over. It's a very kind of exposed location. Some of them are already getting smashed in as shovel heads start to crawl their way in.
So in order to clear a path out for herself and for Neil, Britta is going to direct a dread gaze towards a window that seems to have the least people in it.
Okay, give me a dread gaze roll.
2 successes.
With 2 successes, it stays in place but does not run. As this drenched, heavy-set, bald man bares his fangs and, like, kind of stammers back, but he's so hungry and lost to bloodlust that it's difficult for him to focus on anything, even an immediate threat.
Britta shares a look with Neil before she directs that vampiric terror towards the man, but he is not completely shaken.
Outside, you hear this eerie, reverberating feminine voice speak. Praise Cain, and as the priest of this sacred rite, I declare this the beginning of the war party. You, Doctus, do you come to this hunt willingly and of your own accord? And one at a time, entire packs that are outside on the beach start letting out howling screams as they proclaim their intent to hunt and devour any elders they find inside of the building.
With that, Britta makes absolute sure to dull her aspects. She doesn't know what's going on with the bloodlust outside, but she knows that there's something getting swept up in it, and she doesn't want to be on that list.
Neil.
Phone still ringing for Elsa, and looking around. Neil looks totally panicked, like just completely like this is not. I came for like a weird politics fight, and like the facade of like I will be party guy is completely gone, and he just looks terrified, sticking as close to Britta as he can and just looking around. Okay, there's gotta be a way out. This is a Nos Haven. Lex, I'm a friend of the underground. There's probably tunnels. Actually, I know there's tunnels under here. I came in through one in like the dungeon, right?
Yep.
So Neil goes to like reach out to grab like Britta's arms, be like, come on this way, and then was like, oh wait, never mind. Like you're way better with your fucking hands free. And goes, come on, there's this way through the ballroom. There's a way out, and to the parking lot. There's trucks out that way, and we can head that way. There's an escape, and it'll take us to the ballroom. And we can look for Elsa, and we gotta find Fester on the way, and we'll start heading in that direction. And we'll still keeping an eye out and trying to call Elsa, and like trying to like calm Fester.
So you guys running further in or outside?
Britta will use her next celerity action to catch up and run with Neil and in the direction that he's shown her, and she'll call out for Elsa as she's running deeper down towards the path that Neil has indicated.
As you start heading downstairs, someone picks up the phone. Neil,
Where are you?
I'm upstairs.
Upstairs. Okay. I think I know a way out. Can you meet us? We're headed across the ballroom.
They're gonna kill the elders. Tell her to come out.
Yeah, hurry.
She gets real quiet at the mention of they're going to kill the elders because she's on a different side of the conversation with that regard. I don't know if I can get to you. I'm going to try.
I mean, promise.
She hangs up.
We can come meet. Elsa's upstairs.
She's got to do what's safe for her, and we have to go. We've warned her.
We have. She might need help. She says she doesn't know if she can get to us.
Fuck. And Britta is ready to follow you.
I'm not waiting again.
You're by the stairwell, and there's a path up as well.
Up.
Yo, let's go. And we'll try and head towards where I assume Elsa is.
Changing your mind and instead turning to head upstairs, you remain on the ground floor, just in time to see the entrance burst open as this massive, its limbs are like elongated and it has tons of like extra muscle and bone. The only thing that really kind of stands out is it's still got tufts of this like long dark hair that's like feathered back and these huge claws that are like radiating heat, and very quickly it starts rending all of the kindred that it starts coming down on, and people are scattering.
If I were to drag Neil, could I get him faster up the stairs with my celerity?
If you have the strength.
Britta's just ready to run. She's prepped to drag him if she feels the need to. She reaches back outwards towards him to catch his hand, but she is just charging up the stairs under the morbid hope that it's going to take Johnny Sire a while to get upstairs.
All right, so you are taking Neil upstairs, and you will accomplish this. Upstairs, there is a group of Toreador that are clamoring at a door, banging on it, being like, Elsa, you have to come out. We have to go.
Does this door look locked?
Yeah, it looks like there's 4 Toreador struggling with this one door and like just raking at it.
It's larceny o'clock.
Neil.
Elsa, it's us. We're here. I'm going to get you out of here, okay? We're going to get you out of here. Just Neil, for once, like actually kind of pushing his way past Toreador up to the door. Okay. Oh, my shit is in the UPS truck. Do you have like a hairpin or something? Elsa, open the door, please. We're going to get you out of here.
Britta reaches into her immaculate hair, and is she able to pull out a such item?
Yes.
She looks at Neil. You any better at this than I might be?
I've done it before, but I'm usually not on a time crunch like this. Just go.
Britta
Just
throws him.
Without heightened senses, you can hear this like scratching and tapping at the door from the other side.
Get it open.
Britta nods, and she sets to trying to get the door open.
Your difficulty is 9.
1 success.
Yes.
You find that the locks here, for some reason, are just insanely intricate, but you hear the slight clicking sound.
Britta makes a bit of a confused gesture as her attempt at larceny actually works out. She wasn't entirely sure. There's an instinct there, but oh shit, okay. It unlocks and she pulls the door open.
You swing the door open and before you is a field of darkness and you can't see a damn thing past the doorway.
Neil, can you see in there?
No.
You are looking at a field of supernatural darkness.
Neil's all hyped up on like fucking senses and shit. So we heard weak fingers at the door, like literally less than a couple seconds ago when Britta popped the door. So Neil is just going to like, okay, you do this, and plunge his hands into the darkness to try and grab Elsa and pull her out. I'm gonna blood buff for strength and sort of blind try and grab and hope for the best.
You feel her hands in yours grab you back like in this desperate plea for help. Go ahead and roll. The other Toreador that are there, the 4 of them, grab onto you and start pulling with all of their might. So you can enjoy a +4 die bonus to this.
Nice.
Okay.
See, I thought they were
And I will 100%
And an
spend a
opposed
willpower
strength
on
plus
this.
brawl check.
Yeah. I do not have a strength spec unless one of the fucking Toreadors is giving me one.
They do not.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
By the way, you're a +2 diff.
I'm at +2 diff.
Yeah, you're in a shroud.
You're right.
And -2 dice as well. You feel this cold chill start to sap at you as you try to pull her away from whatever it is that has her.
Come on. I did get 3 successes.
Okay. They have
that's it.
14 successes.
Yeah.
As you feel a grip, much like Johnny's, hold her. Britta.
Britta looks to the Toreador helping Neil and knows that there's nothing that she can do that can rival that kind of strength when it comes to attempting to pull and to add to that force. So instead, she goes with something she has more strength in, which is her majesty. She focuses in on herself, extends her power across the room and into that circle and says, "Let Elsa go."
And activating Majesty.
I am.
What generation are you?
I have 2 dots in generation. So that's 11th, right?
Yes. You call out into this void and don't hear anything yet. Neil, it's your turn.
Fuck it. At this point, like Neil's pulling against a brick wall and just is really starting to panic at this point.
While holding on to her, you feel her crumble to ash in your hand.
Neil just absolutely loses it. It is completely, fully panicking as Elsa crumbles in his hands. It's just, I'm sorry. We gotta go. Just go.
Is that Neil I hear?
Is that Carmen's voice?
It was definitely Carmen's voice.
Okay. Yeah, no, Neil is like 2 steps from a full panic. Everybody has to go.
The Toreador start running.
With the panicked, like, cracking everybody has to go, Neil is going to use Voice of Madness, like, as he's starting to, like, scramble backwards. Because, like, I assume I stumble backwards on my ass pulling that hard as she turns to ash. Yeah. So just as he's literally, like, horror movie scrambling, like, scoot scrambling backwards into the hallway away from the darkness, just basically shrieks everybody has to go. Reflexively, I think the dementation that he's only had a short time will bubble up, and I am in a Voice of Madness. 2 successes. Since I know Carmen's there, Carmen is the choice.
Okay.
And then otherwise, Neil is just sort of scrambling away. We gotta go.
Good, Neil. And you see her step out of that darkness that the room was filled with. And she is in those kind of like very tight, wet jeans and shirt. Her hair's kind of like stringy and sloppy wet. Her mouth is covered in blood. And parts of her seem to fade away at times, being consumed by like darkness. And sometimes her head is just simply a shadow. And it's just these rippling shadows that exist over her that also generate these 4 tentacles that whip and lash about from her torso. And I need a courage test to not Rorschach seeing this.
Fucking yeah, absolutely. You can spend willpower on a Rorschach test?
Sure can.
Yeah, great. I'm gonna do that.
Just 1 willpower per round, though.
What's the difficulty on this?
Difficulty
8?
Yes.
Well, with a willpower, I have 1 success.
Okay. Do it again, Neil. I love to hear you scream. Pray to your gods, Neil. Pray that they will save you again.
Britta, run. Run.
As she kind of like emerges from that shadow, the shadow advances forward, enveloping you and the space you're in. Britta, it's your turn.
Same question if I can grab hold of him, if I am able to find him in celerity.
You may drag him, yes. You'll need strength 3 to carry him off without penalty.
Pumping my strength with blood, up to strength 3. Determined, Britta reaches into the cloud of darkness, trying to seek out Neil and tear off with celerity into the castle, away with him.
Give me a dex plus athletics at difficulty 8 with -2 dice.
I am spending another willpower. Running low.
Neil can feel tendrils starting to kind of rise up in the ground around him. There will be no mercy this time, Neil. Not for what your quarry did to my packmate.
With 1 willpower spent, it's 1 success.
As she says that, Neil, a hand finds yours.
Neil shrieks.
And Britta's hand, stronger than ever, yanks you out, and she charges out.
Oh my god. We get. Oh no, it's okay. Downstairs. There's a dungeon, like a wine cellar downstairs. There's tunnels. We get to the parking lot. There's a car. There's a truck.
I'm meeting Pendragon. Let's go.
What?
It's what I said I'd do. We're going.
I guess I don't have a choice.
You do not, in fact. Britta is holding on tightly as if you were about to be murdered in front of her eyes.
She may not have turned off Majesty.
No, the Majesty is in full effect as she's tearing through, looking for the path that you've described.
While you're running, the shadows kind of deepen and kind of advance towards you as the whole world is disappearing as you guys flee. You look down over at the foyer, back at the stairs, and there's just ash, blood, and scorch marks all over the place. A whole section of the house is now on fire. I need a courage test, difficulty 7 from the both of you.
All right, well, I'm spending another in willpower.
I only have 1 left, and there's so much bullshit.
Oh, I'm running out quick, but my courage is so bad, and the last thing we need is meet a frenzy.
Saving it is a poor decision, but here we are. Actually, no, fuck, I'm holding on to you. I'm spending it. I'm spending the last willpower. I forgot I have grip on you. 2 successes with the willpower.
2 successes with a willpower.
Okay. Towards the fire, you can hear like cackling and laughing as a pack of Sabbat just thrills themselves by running through burning halls and kind of like in an almost childish manner playing among the carnage. Outside, you can see that same androgynous creature gesturing and invoking hermetic thaumaturgy as it incinerates kindred that attempt to flee it.
Definitely the tunnels.
Tunnels!
And Neil will attempt to direct Britta towards basically the wine cellar dungeon. There is an escape to this place. This is as horrible as this is a Nosferatu warren, and Neil knows what's up.
Britta will drop everything she's doing and head outside.
Okay. Do I retain a hold over Neil while doing that?
You sure do?
Britta, where are we going? No, this isn't the right way.
You do not head towards where the Vikos is on its rampage. You are led out back towards the kitchens. And as you make it outside, it seems that there is a group of Camarilla kindred that are still fighting out there. Mm-hmm. And what looks to be Roman Pendragon, but appearing as 7 different images moving in sync with each other. He is fighting with like bare knuckles and like a pistol that he just blows the clip out on and tosses aside.
Bruja move.
And you find that you are summoned to him. I'm tired of waiting. The Bruja extends his hand. Give me the sword.
Britta hands over the sword. She offers to hand over both, but one is extended towards the hand.
He just takes the one.
She shifts the remaining sword to a proper, well, as far as she can tell, a proper grip.
He tosses you the pistol he's holding. Do what your cautery is meant for, and find a way out. The cars are burned.
Neil, the way out?
We'd have to go down there.
She catches and adjusts the pistol expertly.
Lex, which part of the parking lot are we in? Because Fester and I did not arrive with the guests. We arrived...
Right. You guys were parked like way in back underground where the help parks and is out of sight.
Getting there from here.
You're going to need to access the tunnels.
So we're going to have to go back in the house.
You're going to have to go back in the house.
Neil looks over at Britta. Through the kitchens, there are tunnels underneath the house. One goes to a parking lot. There is a UPS truck with an AK-47 and all of my sorcery stuff in there. At least. I don't know if they found it yet, but that means we have to go back inside.
Britta takes the brief moment of conversation and Neil's explanation to kick off the stilettos. And if this dress doesn't already have some form of slit or allowance for movement, she is taking that sword and creating one.
She does so. Now that he has a sword and can actually properly fight, Roman Pendragon kind of takes off the suit coat and rolls up his sleeves. What does Neil do?
It's time to go back inside. Neil, I guess, starts moving back towards the house, towards the way down to the wine cellar where the dungeons were. This is the way. This is the way we gotta go. Back inside, downstairs, and then once we're down there, I'll Nos build their tunnels a certain way. We can do this. I've been in the tunnels a lot of times. Not here, but this way. And starts moving towards where he thinks they have to go.
Okay. Britta, you going with?
Yes, Britta shifts the gun and the sword, getting the gun to her better hand. Nods over to the Roman Pendragon that she associates as the main voice, there being 7 of them. And trying to send an air of encouragement over to the crowd, the remainder of the Camarilla, she nods and makes her way over to follow Neil to lead the rest.
You notice that whenever he stops moving, there's just one of him. But as soon as he starts to move, it's so quick that it's playing tricks on the eyes. And he and the pair of Bruja goons that are with him accompany the two of you as the 5 head back into the burning house. I need another courage test in order to advance into the burning home.
I will spend another willpower.
I won't.
What's your nature?
All for courage tests.
Actually, yeah, you know what? What is my nature? Visionary. Visionary is the one where I believe you get refreshes based on getting people to do as you would see fit.
Wouldn't apply here. This is more survivor nature.
What's the difficulty?
7.
Wash.
3 successes.
Okay. Britta flies into a rot shrek and turns to flee out, and a hand just kind of picks her up and continues walking inside.
Okay.
Britta, you are in a rot shrek. You must win a strength plus brawl check against Roman Pendragon in order to take any actions. Otherwise, he will simply hold you and continue walking along with Neil into the burning mansion.
Does my majesty go down?
What's that?
I have majesty up still. Does that go out?
His generation is such that he does not seem aware of your...
It's not that. It's for anything else.
Oh, no, you're just a majestic little freaked out...
Yeah, you're like a figurehead.
So within this Rush Wreck, there's still like the beauty and the presence of Britta as she just writhes and tries her best to get away from the terrible fire. It's like the skirt keeps on getting kicked up like glamorously and
she rush checks delicately.
Apparently.
You get to the wine cellar and up above you can hear the sounds of carnage, and unfortunately, in this very sad sort of way, it's already starting to quiet down. And that's when things start to feel really dangerous, because now they're looking for stragglers. And you make it to the dungeon entrance that's over in the wine cellar, but it's closed and locked. What do?
Neil looks around. He has spent a lot of time around the Nosferatu. He's one of the few people, at least in New Haven, who's been able to skulk around their warrens with them. So he looks around pretty quickly for whether there are secret escapes or secondary entrances or weird little tunnels behind a wine cask somewhere. that they often have for like panic routes out towards the secondary parking lot.
Give me a perception plus investigation roll at difficulty 10. 2 successes required.
Does Friend of the Underground apply?
It does.
So between that and heightened senses, I will reduce this by 6. So
sounds good.
Diff 5?
6.
Because it
5.
would be 11 and then 2 successes.
With 2 successes, you do find the concealed switch underneath the old barrels, and with the help of 2 of the Bruja, they can kind of move them out of the way for you, because a certain amount of strength is needed in order to access them in the first place.
Nosferatu.
And you flip the switch, you hear the clink as the door becomes unlocked, and you begin to make your way.
Neil sort of looks at the other Bruja. Is anybody particularly good at driving?
They all kind of like shake their head. Roman Pendragon's like, no, you'll be driving. Ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do. Okay. Sure. Great.
As you pass through where the food is kept for the party, Roman stops, and while like still holding Britta in his arm, grasps one of the mortals and drains them dry to refresh himself. You start making your way back to where the UPS truck is. And as you get into that space, you can see the headlights of the UPS truck. And the vehicle is quickly backing out to make an escape.
Fester, wait!
Oh shit, I thought you died! He pokes his head out, and your buddy's like covered in scorch marks. He's gotten teeth knocked out of his mouth. He looks like he has been through one hell of a night.
Neil, after all of the just terror and everything, and losing Elsa, and having been afraid to reach out that he might like ruin Fester's escape, just starts crying when he sees that his friend is alive.
No, it's okay, but we gotta go.
We gotta go. Everybody, we're gonna get in the truck, okay? And we're gonna get the hell out of here, okay? They're coming with us.
Oh, okay.
And Neil just runs up to the truck and jumps in the front seat with Fester.
As this is going on, Britta, you start to come out of your trek and kind of feel yourself being hoisted off to the UPS truck.
Britta's eyes flutter as I don't believe she's rush-wrecked before, so this isn't entirely new. What does it feel like? Does it just feel like terror taking over you?
It is not terror. It's actually not even your own fear. Mm-hmm. The beast loses control of itself, seizes the moment, and flees. It's as though it was like this horrible knee-jerk series of like spasms driving you to a physical act that's beyond your own control. It is a terrifying sensation.
So then as her eyelashes flutter, she starts to get a grip on herself again and looks around, understanding very little of her circumstance. Does she remember what happened during her rush wreck?
Bits and pieces.
Then, in that case, she has enough information to understand who's holding her. The inside of the truck is confusing, but she turns her large eyes towards Roman Pendragon, trying to even test whether she has her own consciousness, as well as realizing that he's still got her and that they've made it to some form of escape.
We're going to be leaving. Cover the escape.
Got it?
Britta, you back with us?
Yeah.
There's a rifle in the back of the car.
Okay, trade. And she hands over her guns in favor for the rifle. The gun and the sword.
Neil holds the gun and the sword from the front seat, like holds them in his hands, not like he's using them, but just like he's holding them in front of himself.
Britta kind of like nods her head over to one of the Bruja thugs for the sword and reaches out and accepts the AK. Again, that unsettlingly expert motion as she checks over the gun and readies it towards covering the exit.
They pretty readily accept any weapons offered to them.
Yeah, Neil hands them over pretty quickly, and for his own preparations for the escape, snaps, like, retrieves his fanny pack from under the front seat and snaps his sorcerer stuff, like, right around his waist.
Hey, Neil.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm glad you made it.
Glad you made it too, man.
Let's go. Let's get home.
Get the hell out of here.
He starts it again and starts dragging out. The group of you start taking off, and he hits the gas as there's to make the exit, as shovel heads are kind of like hearing the UPS and chasing after it for a few long strides before you lose them. You find yourselves traveling along that long road along the coast, making your way out. While you're going after all of this chaos, Britta, you feel your connection to Upton Roland snap.
What does this feel like?
It feels like hearing the news of the loss of a family member in the wrong way. It's that exact moment when you realize that someone you love is going to be out of your life for the rest of your existence, and you are powerless to do anything about it.
Suddenly, Britta lets out a racked sob. She doesn't seem to be expecting it, and there's no visual clue as to what's causing it because she had really just been staying on target, looking for those shovel heads for anyone that was coming after. Her grip on the gun tightens. She's not willing to stand down, but even through that dedication to the danger, the circumstance, the orders that she has to follow, the tears break through. She starts trembling. Her expression is so confused. There's the clear grief, but there's also confusion and almost fury. She doesn't seem to know even where to direct that feeling, the trembling just tightening her grip on the AK.
Roman Pendragon looks at you and seems to recognize something about what you're going through. And he gives just the ghost of a nod.
Britta tries to nod back, her eyes just welling up with tears, made even larger by what she's going through.
Let this be the last time you suffer for a false prince's vanity.
Can't believe I can actually hate him now. I wanted to. He's gone. Roland's is gone.
It will come easier and easier. Just don't let it be the only thing you feel.
Britta pulls together a deep series of nods, attaching to the words, holding on to them like a lifeline.
He reaches out and takes Britta's rifle. Just, not really asking permission, just with impossible strength, just wrests it from her casually. And he moves to watch the door.
Britta dips her head to him, and there's a strange hesitation. But the moment passes and she keeps her head dipped and she gets out of his way.
In the front passenger seat, Neil's eyes flick up to the mirror, watching the back, watching these interactions. And as Britta is sort of left alone for a second, as Roman looks out the back with the rifle,
what you can see is Britta curling as soon as she's behind Roman Pendragon, and there's no privacy here. I mean, there's how many people are here? There's 2 Brujah. There's anyone else left who survived?
So far, it's the 6 of you.
Then Britta is just kind of placing herself up in the corner closest to the driver's seat and curling into a tight circle to just allow the tears to go. She's needed to cry this for a very long time. She's been holding this back, and now that there's no hiding it, it's just breaking through.
Neil looks over at Fester and is like, hey, eyes on the road, give me a second. And sort of unbuckles.
He nods.
And stands up and moves into the back and just sort of sits down against the wall next to Britta. He can't quite help but invade her personal space. This is the back of a truck. And just gives her the courtesy not to look directly at her while she's crying, but just goes, I'm glad you're alive.
You too, Neil. You too. Thank you for...
I've never been in anything like that before, but I have been missing. And I just needed you to know that you weren't alone. And I wasn't coming back without you. So I'm glad. He stops and he's just quiet for a little bit. I know you're not okay. That's an insane thing to ask right now, but you want a hug? Wynn always hugs me when I'm not around. I've been trying to be the whole coterie tonight as much as I can. And
Britta's not capable of words. She just turns towards Neil, and gives him room to slip a hug in.
Neil puts an arm around her shoulders and pulls her into sort of like one of those both people sitting down, like half hugs. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay. Nothing's okay, but you're alive and I'm alive, and I mean, we're going to have a lot to talk about in the future, but right now, just little wins and one more night, right?
She, again, is not able to answer him. It's almost like the further they get from everything that's happened this night, whether it be the Tamahe Ra showing up, seeing, unbeknownst to Neil, seeing the man who ate her parents, things that she doesn't even remember, things that are just visions that passingly were revealed to her as part of a haphazard attempt to stay afloat in months of memory. The death of Elsa, her mentor, the pure stress of having been kidnapped and trying to vie for the coterie to stay alive, it's just all catching up, and she just sinks into him and sobs.
Neil just sits and lets her weep against his shoulder as long as she needs to. If eventually she starts to slow, not even stop, but just starts to slow, he'll very gently go, hey, I got a couple of things I gotta do, and you know, Fester could use some eyes up front. Do you wanna... Neil knows if he was to look at Britta and be like, hey, you want the front seat? Do you want to be well, she would just shut down, but by the same way that he does sometimes, honestly, the same way that like Johnny or Miles have done for him in the past. They're like, here's a task so you don't spiral. Sort of frames sitting up in front in the comfortable, kind of more private seat as like, here's a task if you want to take it.
It takes Britta a very long time to slow. Once Neil does find that opportunity, and it does eventually happen, and he gives that offer, it's almost like the weight of keeping her shit together falls right back into place. She looks up at Neil with those big doe eyes and looks subtly to the remainder of the Camria from that party. And she shakes her head and she says, You should go help him. Thank you. I'll be okay.
You don't have to thank me. I don't think I really did very much here. You don't have to be okay, okay?
There's really not a lot of options.
Lose your shit.
Honestly,
once I get home, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Through everything that's happened, it's really seemed like every night has been emergency after emergency and impossible problems that I don't even have the world of context to remember. And they just seem to get worse and more dangerous, and more people seem to die. And I think this is as close as I get to losing my shit. And maybe in another, 2.5 months or however long it's been, I'll be able to be sad or scared in a way that gets me some peace about it. But right now there's more things to do. There's always another problem. So that's what I'm gonna handle.
The first night that we ever met you, there were just as many problems. And we got into a habit of saying, well, we'll deal with that. That's a tomorrow night problem. And right now we've had a lot of tonight problems. I think it's okay to put a couple tomorrow night problems back on the list. I'm glad you're safe. And he puts what he feels like is a comforting hand on her shoulder, and then stands up and goes back into the front seat with Fester, trying his best to be that empathetic, comforting, and humane Neil that he used to be.
Having gotten the pep talk from Neil, and having gotten to let go of some of the horror and terror of the night, Britta looks down at her dress and actually fully takes in the fact that this extraordinarily beautiful piece of clothing has been destroyed by herself, but she rips off a strip of it anyway and attempts to clean up, to get the blood out of the way, and to ready for the next problem.
Wynn, Johnny, the two of you receive contact from the prince to meet him in his office, which is not to be confused with the previous prince's office. And when you arrive, Miles, what do they see?
They probably see that there is my own piano up here now that has replaced like a large portion of some of the whatever knickknackery that the previous prince kept. I don't know. Probably extra chairs and like a few guitars are hung on the wall. Very similar in some ways to Jane in that way, but they're not really signed or anything like that. But they are expensive looking guitars. A few tasteful pieces of art. You know, it looks much more modern and updated and better.
And much more better.
Much more better. And so, yeah, I'm essentially just kind of like tooling around on the piano until they come in.
Johnny probably answers the summons fairly quickly. I imagine he's actually probably been spending some time nearby in the sheriff's office, just kind of making sure that things are ready to be ported over to whoever is going to be filling that position. He arrives at the prince's office and kind of knocks on the door frame and pokes his head in.
Come in.
I see you did some redecorating in here.
It's necessary if I'm going to be doing business.
I see.
The previous decor was very distracting.
I guess so.
Some of it got wrecked, so.
Wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny leans against the door frame, kind of cocks an eyebrow, hearing that some of the furniture was smashed. You still having problems with everything that went down, or are you just enjoying wrecking this place?
There was definitely some enjoyment to be had in it.
Johnny kind of gives you a look of like, he sees that you're not telling him something, but he shrugs, pops a Morley in his mouth, and heads inside and sits on one of your more kind of new modern chic little chaise lounges that you've set up for guests. You got any ashtrays in here?
Yeah, there should be a few.
He looks around and spots kind of a little modern art looking dish. Unclear as to whether it's an ashtray or not. He picks it up and starts using it as one.
We're just waiting on Wynn. She should be on her way.
So Wynn takes a little stop. There's not a whole lot of greenery in New Haven proper, but she finds just like one of those sidewalk trees and just kind of leans against it and thinks for a minute. Starts thinking of how much the last few days have been. Just there's been a ton that's going on, and she wants to take care of something before it slips her mind or things get too busy. And she makes a call to Ambrogino Giovanni.
There's someone that answers on the other line, and they speak into the phone, or like, may I ask who's calling?
Wynn Cabot, out of New Haven.
Ah, Wynn, it is very good to hear from you. You were calling from Mr. Giovanni?
Yes, I am.
Very well. If you can bear with me just one moment, I'll put you right into contact.
Thank you.
After a brief hold, someone picks up on the other end. This is Ambrogino Giovanni. Wynn Cabot, yes?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Giovanni. How have you been?
I am well. And how are you, Madonia?
Concerned and hoping you can help.
Tell me of your woes.
This 6th maelstrom that's coming. No wraith is expected to survive it.
I do not know precisely what the future holds, but there is an understanding of oblivion that each necromancer must accept. All stories, Madonia, come to an end, and there is a cycle, a wheel that turns, age after age, but in time, even the wheel shall break, and you are afforded the opportunity to see the final nights, the very end. This 6th great maelstrom, it is the end of the restless dead. But more precisely, it is the end of their world as they know it.
Wynn she doesn't need to swallow, but she does, like this is just not what she wanted to hear. But she's not quite dissuaded yet. So she kind of gives it a pause to make it look like she's thinking about what he's saying.
I will tell you this. Oblivion is feared by most, and with good reason. But beyond the labyrinth The well that leads to nothing. What exists on the other side, what resides beyond oblivion, is unknown. And there are those among the restless dead who believe that beyond it lies salvation.
But there's a chance it just leads to obliteration.
For some, these are one and the same.
How did the wraiths survive the previous maelstroms?
None were so great and terrible. Storms that can be weathered. But this is meant to swallow the world. It is the end of all things for them. But again, Wynn, Miss Gabbey, what is peace? It is not joy. It is not the frenetic existence that is life. It is the quiet, the end of struggle.
I can appreciate that, but I'm a gangrel and we fight until the end.
This is about the boy.
Yes.
Is he gangrel?
He was just a boy.
Perhaps you must accept that he is not you.
I made him a promise to do everything I could, so I'm gonna fight till his end.
And if you can do nothing,
Then I failed again.
then you will have wasted what precious moments you have. It is not the length of one's existence that gives life or even unlife meaning. It is how it is spent. And if you will ignore the boy in favor of thrashing against an event that is destined, against fate itself, you are not merely failing, you are wasting what you have.
Is there a way to get him out of there? To make him something else? To give him a second chance at a life that was cut too short?
Not without great suffering.
On whose part?
Him, then you.
So what you're saying is I should just prepare him for the end? Or keep it a secret from him?
What I am saying is that death, annihilation, it is inevitable. There will come a night where the sun no longer rises, where the stars wink out of the sky, when gravity itself dissolves into nothing, and even time itself ceases to flow. There is always an end. Struggle as you wish to avoid it. But should one doom fail to claim you, another lies in wait. There is a project. I do not mean to judge you, for you see, the sixth great maelstrom, it will be the end of wraiths, perhaps even Spectori as far as I know. But we too have our doom, and there shall come an end to all of the Cainite race.
Yeah, I've heard something about that.
But it is the end of the Cainite race, and those who are no longer Cainites shall not be subject to this fate. And that is the nature of the ritual of the red sign. We will evade the end of Cainite kind, for we shall not be Cainites. When that end comes, perhaps such an avenue exists for the boy.
Wynn is kind of struggling to understand the magnitude of what he's talking about.
I will make you a deal.
Okay.
And be warned, it is dangerous. But there are tomes required in order to enact the ritual of the red sign. Our research is not complete. You have an able-bodied coterie, one that is capable of travel and accomplishing feats unnoticed by the elders who would seek this power for themselves. I am going to send you a list. Acquire them, and in the meantime, I will use what methods I know to preserve the boy.
Without soul forging?
Soul forging does not preserve the soul. It is a transubstantiation into property.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page as that. And if I get you these tomes, we can take care of him.
Yes.
And the coterie. Or just the boy. I'm sorry, I'm not a smart woman.
I offer this salvation to you and the boy.
Okay.
Contact me when you are ready to bring the boy to Boston.
Okay.
He disconnects.
Wynn just kind of flips the phone shut. Or actually, she's got a Nokia. She just hits the hang up button. She just kind of leans against the tree and kind of like taps the phone against her face as she's thinking and remembers that she's supposed to be somewhere, and she starts walking.
Back at Miles's office, the door swings open, revealing a Wynn.
I've never been in here before.
Really?
Yeah.
Then you can't be amazed at how much different and better it is now.
It looks nice.
Oh, okay.
I just...
Taking a photo then.
No, he didn't really want to ever talk to me for anything that wasn't public humiliation, so...
I think he was afraid of the gangrel.
He should be. Should have been.
Anyways, I haven't heard from the other two yet, so...
Neil has a phone. He'll get in contact if he has to.
Very good.
Johnny's phone rings.
You mean my beeper goes off?
Oh yeah, your beeper goes off. Still haven't really leveled up there.
I don't think he plans on it.
He doesn't.
I do not. Johnny sits up on the chaise, digs around in his pocket for a second, pulls out his beeper, and takes a look to see who called him.
You recognize the number of Amaya.
He looks over at Miles.
He's already pointing over at the phone.
He nods, gets up, walks over to the desk where the phone is, and pops a seat down on the desk, grabs the phone, and dials the number.
There's an answer on the other end. Johnny, I did what you needed. The rave is ready to go. I've arranged something of a battle of the bands on a local level, and all of the Bruja are aware that there is a rave coming. What else do you need?
Don't think I need anything else. That's incredible. Thank you for your help with that, Amaya. What do you need?
Wynn kind of looks over when he says Amaya's name and kind of gives an approving nod, like, okay, this is going in a good direction.
I would like you to convince our prince to remove the Setite presence from New Haven.
I don't think that would be that big of a stretch.
Glad to hear it.
But I will say, sometimes those snakes can be awfully pesky. It can be hard to chase out of a place. So give us some time.
I trust you.
When's the rave planned for?
The rave is going to be set for the end of April. Lets us put out invitations across the region.
Sounds good. Well, thanks again, Amaya. If you need anything else, you know where to call me.
That I do. Good night.
Oh, and if you see the old man, make sure to tell him that Johnny says hi.
I'm sure I'll be glad to hear it.
Johnny hangs up the phone. So it looks like we got a rave scheduled for the end of April.
How exciting.
Yeah.
I don't have a thing to wear.
We can change that.
Oh, God, I said that in front of you.
Yes, you did.
Oh, no.
To be fair, you guys are going to have to find a Bruja to take you. It's kind of, we all get a +1.
I don't think anyone's going to turn away an owl.
You did spend the whole time as an owl?
Not the whole time, but I'll definitely get through the door as an owl.
If you're going to crash a Bruja party, just make sure you don't ruffle the wrong feathers.
Just my own.
I approve of your pawn.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
His, not yours.
I said what I said.
It's a team effort.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're slowly and surely putting this domain together. Things seem to be moving along well.
One thing, the Baron did request that we encourage the Setites to leave New Haven.
I'll let it be known that until they seek my particular hospitality, they are not tolerated in New Haven right now.
You realize they're going to start some shit.
I look forward to it.
You seem very confident.
I owe the Setites. They've wrecked a few of my cars at this point, and you know what? It's my turn to take the initiative on this.
Speaking of other things, have we figured out exactly who's going to be taking all the positions in the city yet?
As soon as Elsa gets back, I'll have a discussion to make sure everything's kosher, but I have some thoughts. I still need to talk with Renwick.
Right.
You were thinking of having him be Sheriff and Scourge?
Sheriff or Scourge. I wanted to see what he would like to do. Oh, do you have some opinions though, Johnny?
Nope. I just think that the sooner we get these things hammered out, the more stable the domain's going to be.
For sure.
You let those positions just kind of hang in the breeze, I think it's going to be seen as weakness.
Yeah. I don't want Elsa to be mad at any particular position right now, and her support is kind of necessary, with Reese being Reese.
I also have some thoughts on what to do about the Assamites.
Yeah?
Well, Clan Gangrel's numbers are pretty thin right now. They're another independent clan. They're probably not... It's not going to be looked on kindly if you give them a primogen seat, but if an established primogen speaks for them, at least as a trial basis, that might look like you're willing to work with the new and upcoming, and you're still willing to honor the old traditions.
It's an interesting thought. A differing opinion, though. I appreciate the fact that you're looking to let the Assamites stay here, but how much do we actually know about this clan? I mean, let's not just fall to the rumors, but usually things like that get started for a reason. I know that Neil's pretty tight with the Assamites. I don't know if that means we should let the whole clan in.
I don't think it is the whole clan. I think it's just whoever managed to escape.
I think we're going to need both Neil and Nara to sort this out. Nara owes us to a certain degree. Neil knows them and should be able to help us sort out one way from another. I'd rather have a discussion with them first, but if they find themselves to be a more permanent resident, we can definitely see about putting them under your, I guess...
Don't say accounting.
Accounting.
Also, I don't know how that would look. I mean, I think the Primogen Council is going to have a say in Assamite matters regardless. So if you want to speak up for them and speak on their behalf and vouch for them, that's up to you and Clan Gangrel, which at the moment is you. I can't imagine that the Assamites would take kindly to being put under your authority. They seem like a proud bunch, and I don't imagine that they might not look at that as a kindness.
It's not on a permanent basis. It would be for a few months until we establish whether they're an asset to the city or not, and in that time, that would ensure they have a voice.
That's a great notion, but I know the Camarilla has a long history of saying things aren't going to be permanent. If I were them, I wouldn't trust it.
Well, I feel like they don't have a lot of options right now, so it's definitely a thought to visit upon.
If they're open to it, the offer extends.
I need to know what information they have and what other kind of benefits we can get from them, too.
All right, so it sounds like we need to set up a meeting between you and these Assamites.
Yep, I'm just waiting on Neil specifically, and then we can reunite him with Nara, and then we can go from there.
Should we keep waiting?
I don't think he's dead.
I don't think he's dead either, but this domain is not going to stop moving, and we can't necessarily put all of our plans on hold just because Neil went AWOL and Britta is off with whoever.
Well, it wasn't much of a her choice, but...
I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying that if we keep waiting for them or waiting to hear from them more than a night or two, we're going to start getting ourselves in hot water.
We'll give it a couple more nights. A lot of them are very busy spending that money we just gave them.
Good point.
Johnny's beeper goes off.
Busy freaking popular tonight, huh?
Yeah.
And as he checks, Wynn's phone rings.
Wynn checks her phone.
Johnny's message is SOS emergency.
From what number?
Kabir.
Is that who's calling Wynn?
And that's who's calling Wynn.
She picks up. Hey, what's up?
Wynn.
What's wrong?
Am I the only one who hears what is happening? Something terrible is happening, Wynn.
Okay, where are you?
I'm so hungry, Wynn.
All right, I'm coming. Where are you?
The Motel 6.
All right, I'm coming.
Get here.
I am coming. I promise.
Do not trust me.
Okay.
He hangs up.
She hangs up. I'm going to him.
Going to who?
Kabir, he's hungry. Something's wrong. And
You just sent me an SOS on my beeper.
yeah, he said not to trust him, but I'm going to get there. And if you can get there, that's probably for the best, too. And she opens a window and blows 3 blood and turns into a bird and flies away.
Wynn birds the fuck out of there. Meanwhile, there's a knock at the door.
I go to the door. I'm actually moving already to the door to start putting on my coat and grabbing my katana, and I open it.
When you open the door, Osiris is waiting for you, and accompanying him is 12 well-dressed kindred. Busy?
We had an emergency.
Your Grace, I can take care of that emergency. You attend to business here.
He reaches into his pocket, and he throws you the keys with the Lambo symbol on them.
Johnny kind of looks at that, looks at you,
Get there quick.
and heads on out.
Jan Peterson turns to the other guests. This is my child, Prince Miles Davenport, and it is he who has extended his hospitality and the safety of his domain to you. Miles, this is Marcus Vitale, the Prince of Washington, D.C., and among him are the deposed princes from along the east coast. You have arrived here because this is the first safe location traveling up the east coast. Cardinal Bologna, the Vicos, and the Black Hand have seen to it that many domains have fallen. In the coming weeks, a summit shall be held, a gathering of princes, and together we shall devise the strategy with which the Sabbat shall be repelled.
Welcome to New Haven.
Thank you for your welcome. And they begin to just very fast talk, slime their way towards you. All of them interested in getting as close to you and the room behind you as possible.
I start bringing them in. I kind of start backing them out and letting them in, but I'm going to make sure to put my desk between me and them and position them around the room.
As they file into your office, Jan Peterson leans into you. You have done well, my child.
Thank you, my sire.
Congratulations for your praxis.
I did what needed to be done.
Lead them well.
You're not staying?
I have some preparations to make. By the way, put eyes on Marcus Vital. I need to know everything he does, where he havens, who he communicates with. Get this information.
I will keep an eye on him.
He gives a nod and walks out.
Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the classic world of darkness. Britta Ashcroft the Toreador was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Johnny Saxon the Bruja was played by Garrett Gabbey. Miles Davenport the Ventru was played by Tim Davis. Neil Foster the Malkavian was played by Rob Muirhead. Wynn Cabot the Gangrel was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Lex Lopez. Recording by Rebecca Steigelfest. This episode was edited by Rob Muirhead. The music used in this episode was January Grunge Love Fest by Technoaxe. Visit them online at technoaxe.com. Path of Night uses the 20th anniversary edition rule set of Vampire the Masquerade with a few limited house rules. Vampire the Masquerade is owned by Paradox Interactive. Make sure to subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at Path of Night Pod, on Facebook at facebook.com/Path of Night Podcast, or email us at pathofnightpodcast@gmail.com. See you next time, kindred.
If you would like to support the Path of Night podcast and the crew in our projects, we currently accept contributions to coffee.com/Path of Night. And thank you for listening.
Johnny is walking out to the parking lot. There's a parking lot where the hoi polloi put their vehicles. I imagine that the Lambo and a few other select members of the court actually have a parking structure connected to the court where that's actually parked. So he will head down to the Lamborghini, check over his armaments. I think he made a quick stop off in the sheriff's office to grab some body armor and some weapons to make sure that he is prepared for whatever might be spooking Kabir. And once he's satisfied with what he's got, he'll hop in the Lamborghini and start heading over towards, Wynn did say the Motel 6, correct?
I think she clarified it with him.
I think
if not, I definitely intended
whether
to.
it was spoken or not, I think Johnny knows the hotels that Kabir tends to haunt, being that they're such good friends. And I've got a Lamborghini, so it's probably quick. You know, I can drive by the few Motel 6s that he tends to haunt and just try and spot the obvious Ravnos vehicle. Driving through New Haven, is there anything that Johnny notices about tonight?
You start seeing a great deal of kind of unrest among the mortal populace. And, like, there is a car accident. You see people screaming at each other in the streets. There is a literal doomsayer holding a sign up and screaming about the end is coming, the end is coming.
Johnny kind of gives all of these things a wary glance and just keeps on driving, steps on the accelerator a little bit harder.
It's a little spooky, and at one point I do need you to give me a drive check as an SUV just swings into your lane trying to avoid something that's not even there.
Any dice bonus from the Lambo?
We'll give you a +3 die bonus. If it is hit at all, it is totaled.
Difficulty?
5 for the sports car.
6 successes.
With 6 successes, you weave out of the way, and shortly thereafter, you pull up into the Motel 6, where there is an ambulance present, and it looks like someone has been carted into an ambulance after some sort of knife fight broke out in the parking lot.
What the hell is going on? Johnny steps out, locks the Lambo, and drops the keys into his pocket. Looks around to see if he can see an owl anywhere.
When it's right around now that the owl swoops in and sees the same ambulance situation. Not actually right by the room that Kabir keeps, but...
She will find the nearest dark corner closest to his room and change into herself and just run up to it, and she doesn't care about what's happening. She runs up to his door and she just knocks once and then opens the door.
When the door swings open, Johnny, you see this too. Kabir, who had been staring at a wall up until this point, turns and bares his fangs on you, Wynn, and rushes you. I need an initiative roll.
9.
Johnny's going on a 16.
Johnny, you're first.
And that's including spending a blood for an extra action with celerity.
Okay.
Seeing him with fangs bared rushing at Wynn, he's going to rush forward to interpose himself between the two of them and try to basically spear tackle Kabir to the ground back in the room.
Give me an attack roll. Tackle's diff 7.
4 successes.
With 4 successes, you tackle him to the ground. Grabbing hold of him, you can actually feel that the wounds that were left on him previously, some of it's still there. So he's been nursing this for a bit. And with him pinned underneath you, he will attempt to break free, thrashing about in the throes of a frenzy.
7 successes to hold him down.
Okay, your 7 successes beats his 1, and he is held in place.
Kabir, what the hell?
He thrashes and hisses, but not at you. At this shitty old TV that's playing the news, desperately hissing and gnashing at it.
One thing, with spirit tracking, Wynn can kind of see through chemistry and illusions. Mm-hmm. Are there any right now? Is this actually Kabir?
This is actually Kabir.
Okay, so she will slap the TV off since he's hissing at it.
So when you go to slap the TV off, you notice something. The news is about this typhoon that has struck from Calcutta across a vast region, and people are on the news that is talking about an expected death toll of in the millions. There is just something going on, and from satellite view, it's just this mega storm settled on there. And then boop, TV's off.
Yep.
Johnny, you go.
Celerity action?
Yep.
Does he look like he is in the midst of a hunger frenzy?
He looks like he is in the midst of a berserk frenzy.
Johnny's going to try and remove a stake from his harness that he wears under his jacket, where he keeps his weapons, while keeping him pinned down.
Okay. As you do, there are weird color and light distortions that are happening from him throughout the room. And when you recognize chemistry is just kind of doing stuff, he's not in control of his discipline at the moment. And this weird refracted light that is coming, Johnny is going to be at a -2 die penalty to a staking roll. So stakes in hand, top of the round, Johnny.
Johnny is going to try and stake Kabir.
Okay, give me an attack roll. Your difficulty for a stake is 9.
2 successes.
Give me damage.
Johnny will spend a point of Vitae to activate Potence. 10 levels of damage.
Okay. He will soak 3 and be rendered unconscious and staked. You plant the stake into his chest. And for a moment, the lights and distortions and eerie sounds start to settle. And then the TV flips back on.
What the fuck is going on?
We're here reviewing the storm. Everything's out of control. People are in danger. They start, some newscasters talking. And in the storm, you can see, clear as day, there is something in the storm. And a light pulses from the screen.